Commission meeting on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with a roll call.
Commissioner Axelrod?
Here.
Commissioner Brown? Commissioner Deng?
Here.
Chair Freeman?
Here.
Commissioner Kleinhaus?
Here.
Commissioner Smith? Here. Vice Chair Wei?
Here, remote at Pasadena, 1024 East Boulevard. Okay, for my daughter.
Thank you. Chair, you have a quorum. And at this time, I would like to say that Mid-Penn is broadcasting on channel 30, which is a change.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. So now's the opportunity for public comments. For those who want to address the commission on non-agenda items, if there are members of the public who are in person and would like to address the commission in person, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the clerk. If you are on Zoom, please raise your hand and the clerk will acknowledge your presence. Okay.
Lothrop, you are able to speak.
Okay, so basically, what I wanted to talk about basically was the godfather of the European Union set out in his book, Practical Idealism, for the ethnocide and destruction of the peoples of America and Europe by a mass migration and a mass miscegenation, by destroying the countries that we love so dear. And this has been done by a coalition of Zionist supremacists, capitalists, and cultural Marxists. They have done this together to destroy this country as we know it. Listen, why don't we have a White History Month? This is something that we need to have because white people are losing their national identity and are becoming a minority slowly but surely in this country, which we built. White people are the founding stock that built this country. And
Sir, I am so sorry. I did not mean to disrupt you.
Can you hear me?
oh, it's fine. Sorry, thanks. So basically, what's been happening is this country's been going to shit because of things the Jews are doing. The Jews are basically behind all of the evils. LGBT, they're behind the Heart Cellar Act. They control the government. They're killing innocent children in Gaza. This country is going to hell in a handbasket because of race traitors and Jews that are basically destroying it. I wanted to big up ICE for deporting illegal immigrants and for deporting all the pedophiles. Basically, hopefully we can also hopefully get rid of all the Jews and Trump in the White House. But at least ICE is doing some of the work from all the illegals here who are doing all this stuff. So basically yeah, basically America's going to hell. Basically yeah. So basically, what is the criminally trying to destroy the people of America, destroy America, and take it away from the population that founded it, basically, are going to have to be hung on the day of the rope, along with all mud sharks and all of the mystery meat spick hybrids, basically. And that's basically what we've got to do. We've got to take back America by the gun and the sword, basically. And that's what we've got to find. I just want to say one more thing. Nigger, 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 nigger.
Okay, let's move on to the next speaker.
Christopher C.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Is my audio clear?
Yes.
Okay. I'll keep this short and sweet. And first, I'd like to thank you, you all tonight for respecting our free speech rights. So, I just had a little thing I wrote regarding ICE. Tonight, I would like to express my intense gratitude to the brave men and women of ICE Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I applaud you all for your tireless dedication to keeping our nation safe. Your work is not only challenging, but also essential in upholding the rule of law and protecting our white communities. Every day you face complex and often dangerous situations to ensure that our borders are secure and that our citizens are safeguarded from harm. Your commitment to deporting violent, savage repeat offenders and criminals who reside illegally in the United States is a critical part of maintaining public safety, and for that we owe you our deepest appreciation. Your job demands immense courage, resilience, and sacrifice, and often under intense scrutiny and pressure from deranged leftist socialists and threats of violence from the domestic terrorist scum Antifa. You work diligently to identify and remove individuals who pose a threat to our neighborhoods, ensuring that families across the nation can live without fear. By focusing on those who repeatedly break our laws and endanger our citizens, you help preserve the integrity of our nation and protect the values that we hold dear. Again, I say we thank you for your unwavering service, for standing on the front lines, and for your relentless efforts to make the United States a safer place for all. I would lastly like to urge everyone to visit the website goyimtv.com. That's GOYIMTV.com, and visit Handsome Truth's channel. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. White fucking power. That'll be it.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Sathya Sangari, you may speak now.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so madam, I'm sorry, but you just butchered my name. That was not very funny for me. White people are being genocided every day by savage nigger, and we are paying taxes to a bunch of pedophiles that are raping children with Jeffrey Epstein. And you're talking about all sorts of LGBTQ stuff that are pushed in by Jews into the white people to literally exterminate them. The truth requires little explanation, therefore, beware of verbose doctrine. The great principles are revealed in brevity. Truth does not fear investigation. You're paying taxes to pedophile. 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 You're literally paying taxes to pedophile. Thank you, and keep paying taxes to pedophile, you white traitor.
So we shouldn't add any more speakers. I think we're at number 7, I think, the last.
Okay.
Okay.
The next speaker is Jason G.
Hello. I would like to read a passage by the great American George Lincoln Rockwell. And then, yeah. If anybody will put up the money for the experiment, I can prove that hatred of race mixing is not just a prejudice, but the result of knowledge. By taking the most liberal and Negro loving town in Upper Ohio, for instance, or North Dakota, and buying up half the homes in the town and filling them up with real, live, ordinary, garden variety Negroes. In a few months, that town will fill up. That town will be just as full of bigots and nigger haters as any town in Mississippi. And for parks and recreation, I think Sasquatch is just a nigger. Some dude was tripping on acid and saw a nigger outside. Thank you.
The next speaker is Rudolph H. It actually looks like he left. Nope, they are back. I will allow them to talk. Jason, all right.
Yes, hello, Counselor. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I found this to be the speech that these speakers have been presenting to be completely awful and disruptive to the nature of our town. The values that we have here are pro-gay butt sex and pro-black people. I really like basketball, and I worship LeBron James every day. And the fact that these people think that they get away with this is awful. You know, my mother, she was a homosexual transgender, and she essentially raised me with the belief system that homosexuals and blacks are equal to myself. And I would just like to say that I completely disagree with these other speakers. You know, my father, he allowed other men to have sex with my mother, and he would watch in the corner. And I feel that you people are just completely allowing this awful hate speech to continue, and I think that this is disgusting, and these speakers should be reprimanded for the vile hatred that they're spewing. um I'm a communist, I'm a race trader, I'm a proud race trader. I castrated myself when I was a young boy, and I personally am completely shocked and ashamed at the lengths that these people have gone to disrupt this council with their violent hate speech. Um, this is awful. This is not how I was raised. This town is better. We should love black people. If a black person is going to steal from you, you need to give them a smile, and you should give them some more money on the way out when they're leaving your house. You should give them some more money. You should not care when they're stealing your bike. This is awful. I can't believe that this council even stands for this type of hatred. This is awful. And yeah, Black Power, Hail Muhammad, and Martin Luther King was a genius. He was super smart. And George Floyd was a hero. George Floyd was a hero that had so much to offer the world. He was so great and so awesome. And that's why he did a lot of fentanyl. So I just want to, condemn these previous speakers for allowing this awful hatred. Thank you.
The next speaker is Houston S.
Oy vey, goy. So basically, I've been very upset recently. We've been hearing some really horrible anti-Semitism from some of these evil white people. These previous white speakers. How mean and evil. How dare they be anti-Semitic? These fucking evil why I hate white people. Listen, what I wanted to say was basically what we need to do is we need to take away their free speech and kill them, like how we made anti-Semitism punishable by death in the Soviet Union. You know, we always going to do the same goddamn thing. Listen, I just wanted to say basically, I want to stop here. We Jews did the slave trade, and we blamed it on white people. We control all the goddamn media. We control all the banks. We control all this stuff. And I just want to stop anti-Semitism by being honest, basically. Oh God, so sorry. I'm getting so horny right now. I'm thinking of a white woman miscegenating with these fucking niggers. Oh, sorry, these black people. God, sorry, that just comes out. I gotta be nice to my black power. George Floyd is my saint and my God. I love George Floyd so much. Sorry. Oh my God, I just love George Floyd so much. Oh, fuck me, Daddy, George Floyd. Oh my God. Sorry. So basically, what we gotta have is we need to destroy the white race as soon as possible. These goddamn white people, they're so annoying. I hate them so much. They're being so mean to us. Why can't we ruin the countries without them doing anything? Oh my God. I can't believe we have to face the consequences of our goddamn actions. Listen, what's going to happen? We need to put forced Holocaust education for all of these children. We need to learn about the fucking soap bars that we were turned into, the goddamn lampshades made out of human skin. And we don't forget, we can't let them question the goddamn thing ever happened. It happened. That's what we got to goddamn do. You can't criticize us, basically. So yeah, that's what I wanted to basically just say, basically. And also, we're proud of killing William of Norwich in 1144, Harold of Gloucester in 1168, Robert of Bury in 1181. We're proud of killing a boy at Winchester in 1192, and we're proud of murdering children for their blood and to crucify them. Basically, it's a age-old tradition. We're going to be doing it this Friday on whatever day that is, basically. So if any Jews are in the audience right there, if there's any Jews in the city council, come on over. We're kidnapping a young white Christian boy. We're going to slaughter him, basically. So I just want, before I go, just say a prayer quickly. In the name of you, Big Daddy of George Floyd, Barack Obama, please come right all over me. Destroy the white race. We need this. Oh, yes. And if you question us, we'll call you a goddamn Nazi because we own all your fucking media. Oy vey, guys. So basically, as a Jewish person, I want to stop anti-Semitism by being honest. We do control the media, but I hate anti-Semitism, and these people need to all be put to death for their anti-Semitism. All the evil public speakers previously on it. I hate them so much. Evil fucking white people going, I hate white people. Oy vey.
Your time is up, Speaker.
Thank you.
Oy vey. I hate white people.
Jamondre, you may speak.
Can y'all hear me now? Y'all can hear me? All right. Hey, my name's Jamondre Black. Y'all can hear me, right? I can't believe that they allowed to be saying that type of stuff here in this public comment. Is we good? Can y'all hear me right now? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think y'all, okay, thank you. Y'all just stopped my time. All right. So, all right. I'm a member of the Black Hebrew Israelites, and I can't believe that y'all let all these white people, these fucking white supremacists, come up here and start espousing all of their hatred over here. All right. So there's this other nigga. His name is Io Kamati. All right, and he wrote a book, and it's called "Jews Are the Problem." All right, and he said they drawn the lines and declared the word isn't big enough for the both of us. Jews versus the rest of us. All right, and they call us the Goyim. That means that we they slaves. Every Jew wants to have 2,800 Goyim slaves, just like back what we fought the Civil War for. Why we need the Emancipation Proclamation if Donald Trump, this white supremacist, going over there and starting a war with Iran so that they can let these Jews get their Greater Israel Project, which they wear on a patch on their IDF uniform, so that they can enslave us all again. That ain't right. And also, another brother named Dr. Tony Martin, he wrote a book called The Jewish Onslaught. He said, if we dig, we run into the Jewish pot of the transatlantic slave trade. And it was predominantly Jews that was running this. Okay? And they wouldn't have it on Saturday because that's when they celebrate their Sabbath at their synagogue. And one of the first synagogues in America was in Rhode Island. And they had slave posts where they would be selling the slaves, like my ancestors. All right. And so that's why they would have it on Sunday and other days like that. All right. And then there was another brother called Louis Farrakhan, and he wrote the books, The Secret Relationship Between the Blacks and Jews. There's 3 volumes on that one. He said, how did I get to be an anti-Semite? What have I done? I told the truth about Jewish involvement in the slave trade. All right. And they also be controlling the pornography and hookup culture, which is leading to a lot of my brothers and sisters getting AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. Man, all of these pornography sites, these hookup culture apps like Tinder and Grindr and Bumble and all that shit, it's all run by Jews. All right. Same thing with the hedge funds. They got BlackRock is buying up all the houses, and they making it hard for a nigga can't even be able to buy a house anymore My grandpa could, but I can't. Man, fuck these Jews. Trump is a fucking Jew, all right? And they taking away our guns too. That's what they trying to do next, all right? White power, nigga. Shit. Black power, nigga.
Your
Shit. The
speaker,
blacks
your
and whites
time
need
is
to
up.
unite. Fuck these Jews.
Okay, let's move on to the,
Chair? Okay.
excuse me?
Did we want to take a break?
Anyone want to
I
take?
want to, I think we might need a break. I just, Chair, if, I don't know how people are.
Anyone want, okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. I just want to remind everyone of the city's policy of inclusion and encourage respectful dialogue. The city of Palo Alto is committed to a culture of belonging where all members of our diverse community feel included, safe, and respected. We strongly denounce the speaker's message of discrimination and hate, and we have allowed the speech only because the First Amendment of the Constitution requires us to give everyone an equal chance to express their views. I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's, are there any proposed changes, additions, on deletions to the agenda for today? Okay, seeing none. Next on the agenda, we're going to move to approval of, there are no minutes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, okay. There's no agenda for the February 24th meeting, so we won't be approving that until the next meeting. So, okay, we'll move to council liaison report.
Great, Chair, thank you so much. Well, hello, everybody. As ever, it's wonderful to get to be your liaison, and thank you for all of the terrific hard work you do, commissioners and staff in the Community Service Department, broadly speaking, and specifically related to Parks and Rec stuff. I just want to give you a brief update on what council is up to and has been up to. Last night, we passed an ordinance incorporating CDAW into our city charter. This is the United Nations Convention to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. It has been proposed for some years and wended its way through, and all parties present were able to support this. And we had in the chambers a number of former female elected officials in the city, including the oldest living member of that group, a woman named Enid, right, I didn't want to get it wrong, Enid Pearson, who is apparently 101. And I think when you get to that age, you don't mind people sharing your age. So she was there along with many others, and everyone came up and took pictures. It was wonderful. We are currently conducting board and commission interviews, including for one spot here on the HRC. We interviewed people last night, and we'll be making decisions in about a month. In recent prior meetings, we passed an ordinance to require bird-safe glass under certain circumstances, and we approved some townhomes on Gang Road, 145 units, 19 of which have to be below market. These are geared toward first-time homebuyers, and so that would be typically younger millennials and older Gen Zs. We're super excited to make that opportunity available in our city. We approved 7 additional units at Palo Alto Commons, which is an assisted living facility, balancing the requests of the organization with the needs of the residents who live along its back fence. Looking ahead, we are contemplating a temporary trial closure of the Churchill Railroad crossing to reduce access to lethal means in light of recent suicides there. And that item will be coming to council in the middle of April. Staff and members of the community are working on the city's first ever Pride event, which is slated to take place on June 7th from 2 to 5 p.m. And Director O'Kane is leading that effort. And on Cubberley, which I know you're taking up in a few minutes, the ad hoc committee on which I serve came to an important decision that if we do go to the voters to try to fund a portion of the purchase of the land and potential renovations, we had been looking at a sales tax as a vehicle versus a parcel tax. The parcel tax has not polled very well, so we decided to eliminate that option. Therefore, in our final poll, which was just put in the field about a week ago, we're testing only the voters' appetite for a sales tax at a couple different levels and testing the ballot language that describes what the project would entail to see, what types of offerings and justifications the voters are most supportive of. So that project continues. You are playing an important role with your conversation tonight, and that's the end of my update.
Thank you, Councilmember Haynes. Anyone have any comments for the council member? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the department reports.
Good evening, commissioners and council member. Sarah Robustelli, Division Manager for Open Space Parks and Golf. If you advance to the next slide, we'll give you a little bit of a recap. Last month, the Community Services Department held their first ever Discover Your Path career exploration event to introduce youth and young adults to an array of career paths. Representatives from the city departments, including Palo Alto Fire, Police, Utilities, Public Works, Human Services attended, plus local community colleges, artists, healthcare providers, Palo Alto Unified School District representatives, as well as others. We want to thank Julie Lifcott-Haynes for her involvement. Councilmember Julie Lifcott-Haynes, excuse me. And the event had a panel discussion as well as information tables, interviews, resume writing workshop, and staff hopes to continue the event in the future years with a stronger collaboration with Palo Alto Unified School District. If you advance to the next slide, I wanted to showcase some of our upcoming special events. This weekend, we are having our second annual Around the World in a Day festival, which is taking place on Saturday, March 28th from 11 to 1 at Lucy Stern Community Center. This is bringing the community together to appreciate a unique traditions and heritage of people from around the globe through cultural exhibits, as well as performances and food trucks. And then in the center there, we want you to save the date for April 19th. We're having an Earth Day festival at the Arts Center from 1 to 4. This is an annual event. It's free and it focuses on sustainability, climate action, and family-friendly environmental education. This year's theme, you'll see right highlighted in the center there, community connection and action. And then one more kind of save the date is the May Fete Parade. This year's theme is Not All Heroes Wear Capes, taking place Saturday, May 2nd from 10 to 1. We ask gather your friends and family and join us as we recognize and celebrate the folks in our community who use their talents each day to provide improvement to our quality of lives. Not all heroes wear capes in our community is this year's theme. And if you go to the next slide, we'll hear more about the Coverly updates later on as your business item. And then just want to have a reminder there that if you're trying to get in touch with our Coverly staff, starting as of this month, you will need to make an appointment and have all the numbers and contacts there. Advancing to the next slide, summer camp updates. For this year's summer season, we are currently offering a total of 289 camps with 3,217 campers enrolled already. Overall participation remains strong. As part of the ongoing program management, 21 skateboarding camps were canceled due to low enrollment. This allows staff to focus our resources on higher demand programs and maintain a high quality experience. We believe the low enrollment was in regards to it taking place in Redwood City. With time remaining for the season to begin, we anticipate continued growth in enrollment and will continue to adjust offerings in response to the community demand. And then if you advance to the next slide, we just, given the unusual warm weather for this time of year, we wanted to share that one way to stay cool is visiting the Mitchell Park water feature, which we have turned on 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And then advancing to the next slide, we're going to highlight some of our golf course fencing updates, as well as a Hoover Park a windscreen replacement. The fencing repairs were completed in bordering our golf course and Embarcadero Way. This is also runs parallel to hole number 9 on the course. And then on the middle screen, you can see the windscreen before, and on the right side is the after. At Hoover Park, our next windscreens that are up for replacement will be taking place are at Hopkins as well as Mitchell Park tennis courts next week. And then here I wanted to share and highlight the water fountain at Pierce Park. Our parks team has been very busy, and I'm pleased to report that the work has now been completed. The old fountain under the oak tree was removed as it had reached its end of useful life, and it was relocated in an area that is more accessible to users and a better user experience. And we're happy that with the location so far. If you advance to the next slide, this is a capital project that we have been working on this fiscal year. We wanted to provide you with updates that the central walkway there on the top left picture has been resurfaced. We've refreshed the landscape with chips. You'll see a new ADA accessible as well as dog bowl, water fountain, and fillable station also located there, and repainting of the arbor and restaining, as well as the bench slats being replaced or refurbished. Still, this week, we also have a gate being installed for better access to the restroom that is for access to the Roth building or the, which is upcoming, in addition to a new 3-sort waste receptacle and a few other touches, as well as a new park sign. So we'll keep you updated. We're looking to finish this project this fiscal year. And that concludes my photos. However, I do have a few additional verbal updates. Bayland Sluice Gate. Currently, we are analyzing the flood basin level trends. We've also submitted to California Department Fish and Wildlife to obtain a permit for cleaning and inspection. And then I noted quite a few community comments on the natural grass turf pilot, and wanted to just let you know that that is moving forward, and we'll be coming back with updates as things progress. We have a budget request pertaining to the turf pilot for fiscal year 27. So that will be making its way through the finance committee, and then to city council for approval. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Sarah, and as always, very thorough and comprehensive report. Looking forward to the May 5th parade. How different, I guess, is it from, I know the theme's different, but do we expect, is the parade route pretty much the same number of people you expect to attend?
Parade route remains the same. Mayfet, it's always well attended. I think the only time that sometimes throws it off is weather.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago we had rain, so with that, attendance did drop, but right now, the way we're tracking seems like we're on the sunny trend.
Good. And as far as the council, the summer camps, sounds like you've got, is that number 289 camps that pretty much in line with what we've had in the past? And also regarding the skateboard, I guess, camps, did we have, was there one last year? And that was,
I know we've held skateboard camps in the past. I was told, and I'm not 100% on the details, I know we've contracted with people who run the camp out of Menlo Park previously. This time it was in Redwood City, so I think with the longer travel time definitely played into low enrollment.
okay, thank you. Okay, I'll pass it on to Commissioner Smith.
I know several people from the public that worked with your department on Heritage Park, and they were very pleased with the professionalism and the get-it-done attitude, so thank you.
Commissioner Alcorod. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kleinhaus. Okay. Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Thank you. You guys are busy. That's pretty good to see. I have a question about the Mitchell Park Dog Park. That was just recently built, and it looks like it's being restricted and there's some work happening there. Can you tell us what happened and why, and what's going on there?
Sure. You're correct. Recently, that dog park was renovated and expanded. During the part there, we took in-house a portion of the project to refurbish some of the grass and do some aeration and some things. However, due to the nature during the construction window, it was really wet and it wasn't the right time. So we opted to defer that improvement until clearer weather.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and move to Commissioner Vice Chair Way before I forget her. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks so much, Sarah, for the great report. And it's really great to see so much going on. I hope you guys, the hard work pays off. I wondered the attendance for the career fair, and thanks our City Council member, Julie, was there. And also I remember when we were having the presentation by the park rangers, they were going to exhibit there as well. I'm just curious what's the attendance look like, and whether the young people getting a lot out of it. Are they mostly, do we have data? They're our city young people, or people from Bay Area, different area of the Bay Area?
Yeah, great questions. I'm not sure if I don't have that information in front of me, but I can follow up. I do know that it was broadly, the net was widely cast, so I'm assuming it was maybe a little bit more broad, but I can follow up with the planning committee and get back to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Go in the World in a Day. Last year was really enjoyable. It's very well attended event, and also happens the same day with pickleball. For the youth council, they're also doing the pickleball, and I think pancake and pickleball in the morning too. So I'm going to attend both of them. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Thanks so much for the great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Alcorod.
Great. Thank you, Chair. So as always, a lot of great stuff going on. I had a few questions. First, thank you for the water fountain at Pierce Park. I know that's been high on my list because we're a user of that for a while, so that's great to see. I was a little surprised that chose the one without a dog bowl, given that there's a dog park, but I presume that might be because there's one at the dog park?
I believe so. We have 3 standard, city standard water fountains, and I believe that was selected specifically by our team, so.
Gotcha. if I can put in a word for our furry friends, if the marginal cost is negligible, they get hot too, and anywhere they can drink. It's awesome to see that the city's opened up the water feature at Mitchell during hot days, even though they're starting a little earlier. I'm just curious, was there any community outreach? Personally didn't know.
We did. It went out in our Uplift Local, which went out last week.
Oh, awesome.
And apparently the team did say there was a line. So people were very excited. We opened it on Friday, this past Friday.
Oh, just awesome. And finally, on the summer camps, when the skateboarding was closed, were there any new kinds of camps added to make up for that?
The offerings we started at, in the 300s, and we don't plan to add additional. It's typical in summer camp planning that some that don't make it, then I think they're really trying to target on where to market, how to, and fill the classes that we do. So I think this is a learning lesson, but no, there is no intent to add additional after the cancellations.
Gotcha. And just as a final question on that one, I know there's a lovely skateboarding park at Greer. Has that ever been used for summer camps?
We have not used that for summer camps. But
yeah, maybe if the vendor is open to it, that's a great facility. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And I just want to kind of go back to the Heritage Park, which is close to my neighborhood, and I've just seen all the improvements that have been happening in that park. So mirror what Commissioner Smith said, that's the park that's really taken on a whole new life. So pass on to everyone that's a great job in what they've been doing with that. Commissioner Dang.
Yeah, great to see all those park improvements and the recreational activities going on. I just have a question about Cubberley staff. Right now, the office is closed, right?
It's not closed, but just by appointment only.
Okay, so they're still working there.
Correct.
But there's no walk-in available. People have to email them first to make appointments.
Yes.
Got it. And do they plan to move to another location, or why they have to, do this reservation system? I'm just curious.
Yeah, this is in light of our budget situation. There was a position that we are no longer filling who would work with members of the public as they came in. And so we can't guarantee, because some of our team goes off-site, that someone will guarantee to be there. So this is a way that we can make, unfortunately, hard decisions, but also be available to the public.
Thank you. And will this last for the whole year? Or at least for this?
Yeah, this is an ongoing change.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
I would encourage us to take a look at that, because Cubberley's a big part of what we're trying to do. And I think having it to be walk-in, maybe we could bring somebody from other, but I think that would hurt us in the whole Cubberley thing. So that just is a thought.
And you probably were going to talk about this at the next department meeting, but the chili cook-off is in July. Any updates on how many people? I know that there was a flyer that went out asking for people who would want to participate in that. It's been a mad rush to put their names in, and
Yeah, you know what, I believe we have 4 teams already signed up, which is early for us, but that's just with the first call. So I'm sure there will be many more signing up. I know the team's been very successful in getting teams. So I'll have more updates as we get closer to that event.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thanks for the update on that. Any other? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the ad hoc committee and liaison updates. Anyone want to give any updates on their ad hocs or liaison? Okay, Commissioner Ackleroyd.
Just an FYI, and we might be covering this later, but for open space, there's a review of the interpretive center plans that's going to be going on Thursday that I'll be in, so hopefully we'll report back next month on what they propose.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll give an update on the park dedication. Just want to follow up on to a request that a constituent made to the commission, I think a few meetings ago, and also at our retreat. And this had to do with a dedication and naming requests in the Ventura Park. So Sarah and I met. Let's see, we had a general meeting, but added a request. As you know, we've added a request to the work plan, and staff and ad hoc will be discussing it in more detail at the future ad hoc. But that's just wanted to give an update to that. The site remains a single parcel, and the staff is working with a meeting with the Palo Alto Community Child Care once the CEO returns. I don't know, Sarah, if you've had an opportunity to meet with them in the last 2 weeks, I guess it is?
Yes, that meeting went well, and they are supportive of moving forward with the proposal.
Okay, so part of that would be that we'll present that at the, you'll be, right now it's conducting sort of a real estate and, does that go to the Real Estate and Planning Commission?
Yes, we'll bring next steps, I think, as we progress with that, with the ad hoc.
Okay. So hopefully we'll have more on that the next commission meeting. And then as far as golf, last month the city and First Tee Silicon Valley extended their facility use agreement for 3 years through February 2029. This further facilitates First Tee's use of the golf course and practice areas for youth development. And then during this extension period, both parties will continue to discuss a long-term agreement regarding the First Tee's planned improvements to the course's practice facilities. So are you involved in that, or is that something Kristen's working on?
As a next step, so I assisted with the negotiation for this agreement that City Council just passed. However, this actually has a big impact for the long term, is the second deck study, which the group will be hearing. I think we have that scheduled for May, your May meeting.
Okay. And the other item that Lamdo wanted me to point out was that the mild weather in this past winter, the course's playing conditions remain ideal. He calls them the paspalum turf did go dormant and retained most of its green color instead of turning yellow, which I guess is a plus. And so there was some winter turf growth turf as well, which allows for growth in the divot. So just wanted to give an update to that. And then as far as the park groups update, we're talking a little bit about skate park. The skate park is one that actually keeps popping back up. There's the project, as you know, there was a lot of enthusiasm on it a couple of years ago. And then right now, due to the person who was sponsoring that left. And so it's been recently picked up by a gentleman named Paulo, and Sarah and I met with him last week and set him up to meet with the Friends of Palo Alto Parks to explore potential fundraising opportunities. So hopefully that project resurfaces and we can move forward. I don't, Sarah, you had mentioned that also that the current skate park is being renovated. Can we give an update on that?
Oh, about the actual bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, as part of our ongoing maintenance, I was potentially going to raise it when Commissioner Axelrod mentioned it, but yes, we are looking to provide a maintenance resurfacing to the historical bowl, and so we're working with the skate community, and you'll see updates as it moves forward in your departmental report.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is the item number 4, which is the Coverly project, which is to receive results of the community poll number 2 and number 3, and then the recommendation to the city council adoption of the Coverly conceptual master plan. So that will be something that we, at the commission, will be voting on. So there will be a motion at the end of the presentation to send this on to the city council for adoption.
All right, good evening, Chair Freeman, Vice Chair Way, fellow commissioners, and Councilmember Lithcott-Hames. I'm Amanda Dummel, Assistant Director for Community Services. Kristen O'Kane, Director of Community Services, is joining virtually this evening. We also have Assistant Director from Administrative Services, Christine Peraz, here to answer any polling questions that you may have after the presentation. We also are joined virtually by Claire Raybold from the Planning Department, who will be able to answer any CEQA questions after the presentation. We're very excited to be here with you this evening to present you an update on the Coverly Community Center project, including the results from polls 2 and 3, as well as share with you the final conceptual master plan and CEQA document and seek a recommendation for the City Council to adopt this plan in April. Next slide, please. We'd like to start with sharing the polling results, and then we'll jump to the master plan. Poll 2 was released in early November 2025, and the key findings found that across both polls, 2 consistent priorities emerged: upgrading outdated wiring and plumbing and meeting current safety standards. Additionally, most voters are satisfied with existing programs and services at Coverly and support basic repairs and upgrades focused on safety and accessibility. Lastly, voters show the greatest willingness to fund improvements through a parcel tax or a sales tax. Next slide, please. Poll 3, released in January 2026, showed just over 1/3 of respondents see at least some need for updated facilities, which with support for both parcel and sales tax increasing from the previous poll. Top priorities for a general purpose sales tax include maintaining infrastructure such as storm drains, potholes, etc., and maintaining the city's financial stability. For Coverly, top priorities include preserving trees, updating electrical and plumbing systems to meet current standards, and providing safe spaces for children and teens. Next slide, please. The 4th and final community poll is currently out now. It was released on March 19th and will close on March 28th. This poll will further test ballot language as well as inform whether support from partnership opportunities and other revenue sources will increase voter support. We anticipate reviewing the poll 4 results with City Council on April 20th. Next slide, please. We're now very pleased to present the final draft of the Cubberley Conceptual Master Plan. Attachment B includes the full plan and appendices. While we don't have time to cover all of the details this evening, as it is 224 pages, we are going to cover some of the key highlights, and we hope you've had a chance to review the full document. Oh, you already went ahead. Okay, so stay on this slide for just a moment. So this Cubberley Conceptual Master Plan represents a long-term vision for the site and serves as conceptual framework for a phased approach to future development. Phasing is intentional, allowing development over time as funding is secured, while minimizing program disruption during construction. Staff are exploring funding options which will shape the pace and scope of redevelopment, including development fees, grants, philanthropy, a ballot measure, and community partnerships. Phase 1 includes a mix of new and renovated facilities, including a recreation and wellness center, a performing arts complex, and flexible spaces for education and visual arts to meet evolving community needs. Next slide, please. Now looking at the current site, I'd like to just provide a refresher on the campus as it exists now. On the right-hand side in purple shading is the city's existing 8 acres that we currently own. On the left-hand side in yellow is the 7 acres we are currently negotiating to purchase from the school district. Together, it creates the 15 acres we have been master planning with the community and stakeholders. And the gray dashed areas are the 20.5 acres we anticipate continuing to lease from PAUSD, which includes 2 parking lots, the athletic fields, and the track and field. Next slide, please. This slide shows one completed potential phase 1 scenario. Next, we'll review the sequence of deconstruction and construction. Completion of phase 1 would be a major milestone, enabling full services at the Cubberley site. This phasing plan is flexible and may evolve over time based on needs, constraints, and funding. Next slide, please. This slide shows the phase 1 deconstruction and construction sequence. The goal is to maintain as much existing programming as possible during construction, with only temporary relocations to minimize the disruption of services. If and when PAUSD vacates and the city acquires the additional 7 acres, new space would then become available for us to be able to use and move programs around the site. Diagram 0 on the top shows existing buildings as they are now. Diagram 1.1 on the bottom highlights the initial deconstruction area outlined in the red dashed line. Next slide, please. Diagram 1.2 shows initial construction, which would include the Rec and Wellness Center, facilities and emergency services area, flex space, cafe kitchen, an outdoor pool, raised tennis courts over the parking lot. Diagram 1.3 then outlines the deconstruction of wings A, B, M, G, portions of the theater, and parts of the wings C and D. And then diagram 1.4 shows new construction of the performing arts, education, and flex spaces, including the full performing arts complex. Diagram 1.5 then highlights renovations to the auditorium and the remaining portions of the wings C, D, S, T, V, E, and F. Next slide, please. So we're going to spend some time on this slide. I'm going to kind of walk you through the campus here. This slide would illustrate a conceptual view of a full site at full phase 1 build out. As the project advances, design and phasing may evolve based on funding, community needs, and partnerships, as we've described. I'm going to highlight a few of the features. Longer descriptions and full details can be found again in the master plan document and the appendices. Starting in the upper right-hand corner, the key features include a 2-story recreation and wellness center with up to 4 gymnasiums for sports, events, potential emergency shelter use. We'd also like to note that, as mentioned in the staff report, through the city's partnership with the Friends of the Recreation and Wellness Center, the gym component could advance earlier, independently, as well as vary in the scope, depending on the funding and the agreement terms. Supporting elements include the facilities and emergency services area, elevated tennis courts with parking below, a 6-lane, 25-meter community pool, and a large flexible event space with an adjacent cafe and commercial kitchen for events, classes, and potential shelter use. Moving to the left, the education and enrichment buildings provide flexible space for classrooms, early education, and community use, along with the renovated I building to support tenants, rentals, and programming. The Performing Arts Area 3.0 reflects the city's partnership with TheaterWorks Silicon Valley, including a renovation of the existing Coverly Theater for continued community use, upgrades to accessibility and support spaces, and a reimagined pavilion as a 500-seat theater. Phase 1 would conclude with renovation to the remaining buildings along Middlefield and the corridor buildings to support community services, visual arts, and technology programming. Next slide, please. This slide shows Phase 1 programming across the levels 1, 2, and 3. Including total new square footage by color-coded programming area. So program categories were shaped by extensive community and stakeholder input, informing both the square footage and how uses relate across the campus, so the adjacencies. The plan accommodates enough space for all the current tenants while adding space for new programs and services, with specific locations and providers to be determined in later phases. Next slide, please. Outdoor programming has been a central component of this project. The photos on the left showcase an urban forest and a natural play area. On the right, another highly requested amenity was the outdoor amphitheater. Could be used to host a variety of events such as the summer concerts, dance performances, and theater productions. Additional features may include pollinator gardens, native plantings, outdoor classrooms, and sculpture gardens. You'll notice also there's buildings shown in the background of some of these eye-level views. At this stage, they represent general massing only, not architectural design. Architectural style would be determined in future design phases with community input. So we just wanted to note that. Next slide, please. That was a high-level overview of a potential Phase 1 elements, which may be implemented in varying sequences, scales, and scopes, again, depending on our funding. The plan also includes Phases 2 and 3 to reflect the long-term vision, though they are not anticipated in the near-term future due to the funding needs. Including the full site build-out and the conceptual plan also allows the city to complete the CEQA analysis for the entire project, providing greater flexibility to advance future phases as funding and opportunities arise. Next slide. So with that being said, we'll briefly highlight the proposed sequencing for Phases 2 and 3, as they do reflect valuable community and stakeholder input. Phase 2, denoted there on the left, focuses on new visual arts and technology buildings, including maker spaces, workshops, galleries, and artist studios. Phase 3 on the right completes the community services area, adding a cafe, lounge, and flexible community space. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates what the campus could look like if all 3 phases were ultimately completed. While this represents a long-term vision for the site, again, staff does not anticipate full build-out in the near-term future due to the significant funding requirements at this time. Next slide, please. This slide highlights the Phase 1 walking and biking plan. Additional details are provided on pages 94 through 105 in the master plan, with a broader connectivity figure on page 23, showing how the campus connects to the surrounding area, significant landmarks, and existing and proposed bike paths, bus routes, Caltrain lines, including the San Antonio Road area plan. The plan prioritizes pedestrian and bike safety while maintaining convenient vehicle access. Next slide, please. The next two slides show the Phase 1 vehicular circulation and parking plan. This was shaped by extensive stakeholder input and was revised multiple times throughout the process. So first, the vehicular circulation. The diagram highlights the passenger drop-off zones throughout the site, which is denoted with the dashed yellow lines, with detailed service and emergency access outlined on page 104 of the master plan. The key improvements include the recommendation to add a second exit lane at the Montrose Avenue intersection, a new signal and dual exit lanes at the north access road, and evaluating a center turn lane on Middlefield Road. Updated traffic studies would need to be conducted during the architectural phases of the project. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the parking plan with surface parking distributed near high demand areas and connected by a loop between the perimeter access road. A new marketplace lot was added by the Charleston Shopping Center, and it'll add 153 spaces, bringing the total parking slots to 640 at the end of Phase 1. So the parking supply was extensively studied. Appendix B includes the study by Fair and Peers that analyzed the study using their tools. So if you want to kind of dig into that more, because we did get a lot of questions about the parking analysis. And so they use the parking generation manual, and they did find that 640 spaces would meet our typical daily demand. And then in addition to that, we would need to just be very coordinated in our scheduling with major events, and then sometimes maybe use off-site alternatives if we had major events happening on campus. Next slide, please. In compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, the city has prepared and released the draft initial study mitigated negative declaration, ISM&D, for the Cubberley Conceptual Master Plan for a 30-day public review and comment period. It was released on March 2nd and will close on April 1st. This is a required document that assesses the potential environmental impacts of the conceptual plan and identifies measures to reduce these impacts. Additionally, it allows the city council to adopt a long-term a long-term plan for the site and enables the city to be able to proceed with near-term improvements. Overall, 5 environmental resources were identified where impacts were found to be less than significant with mitigation incorporated. They were air quality, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, noise, and transportation. Impacts for all other environmental resource areas were found to be less than significant or no impact would occur. The full report can be found on our project website, as well as we have full printed copies available at 3 locations, including Mitchell Park Library, the Downtown Library, and the City of Palo Alto Development Center. So the comments can be submitted during the review period by sending them directly to Director O'Kane via email. They can also be mailed in or be given at public comment at Commissioner or City Council meetings. Next slide, please. Okay, as we conclude, we'd like to reflect on the broader vision and significance of the Cubberley Conceptual Master Plan. This plan represents the shared vision to thoughtfully reimagine Cubberley, honoring its history while creating space for new opportunities and partnerships. It reflects the city's commitment to steward the site in a fiscally responsible yet forward-thinking way, supporting today's programs while investing in the community's future. Through a phased and flexible approach, the plan is designed to grow and adapt over time as funding and community needs evolve. Cubberley offers a rare opportunity to create a vibrant, inclusive, and inspiring campus that brings people together across generations and cultures with continued community partnership guiding each step forward. Importantly, this plan reflects the vision that City Council established at the outset of this project on February 18th, 2025, and was later refined by the community, which was to create a vibrant, beloved, and adaptable destination that promotes learning, interconnectivity, joy, and well-being where people of all cultures and generations belong. Staff believe this conceptual master plan successfully brings that vision to life. Next slide, please. So the next steps in our process are staff will present this Cubberley conceptual master plan and the finalized CEQA document to City Council and seek adoption on April 20th. So tonight, staff recommends that the PRC consider the draft ISM&D for the Cubberley conceptual master plan and recommend that City Council adopt this master plan. Next slide, please. So this concludes our formal presentation. It's been a privilege for staff to help bring this project forward, especially after the many years of the community working hard to do so and the many iterations. So we want to thank the PRC for your time and your effort and your feedback, as well as the PRC ad hoc. We now welcome your comments and your discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to start by acknowledging the significant amount of work that has gone into this effort, by staff, the Cubberley ad hoc committees on the various groups and our partner commissions and the broader community. This has been a very thoughtful, iterative, and community-informed process. And I haven't been involved in it for at least, it's been a long time coming, and it's great to see where we are today and kind of where we were. I know when I came into the commission 3 years ago, this was, the Cubberley and the Recreation Wellness Center was just a lot of talk, but now we actually have something that we can wrap our arms around. So again, thank you and everyone else who's been very much involved in getting us to the point of where we are today. So from a commission standpoint, our role tonight, this evening, is to receive and understand the results of the community poll number 2 and number 3, as you communicated, to consider the draft initial study, the mitigated negative declaration, and then also as a commission is to evaluate whether to recommend that the City Council adopt the Cubberley conceptual master plan. So that's going to be something we'll be putting forth in a motion. So before we move to public comments, I'd like to first ask if there's any commissioners who have clarifying questions for staff or the presenters. No clarifying questions. That's pretty good. Okay. Oh, Commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work invested here. I have a few questions. The first one is about CEQA. Why did you choose to do a mitigated negative declaration and not an EIR?
Sure, we actually have Ms. Raybould online, so I will let her answer as she's more of the expert. So Ms. Raybould, would you like to answer, please?
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Claire Raybould, Manager of Current Planning. Happy to answer that question. We prepared the initial study to determine whether there were any significant impacts that could not be mitigated to less than significant. And our analysis concluded that all impacts could be mitigated to a less than significant level, and therefore preparation of an environmental impact report was not warranted. And so we prepared the appropriate document, which is a mitigated negative declaration, to identify mitigation to address those impacts. And that's why we chose to do that approach.
Thank you. And this is an observation question. The plans don't include any architectural design or planting design, landscaping, trees, only where the buildings will be, potentially what uses are there, transportation and so on. Why did you choose not to include architectural design or landscaping design in this plan?
Yeah, great question. So we didn't get to the architectural design, I think just because our plans kept shifting, that we spent so much time continuing to work on the concept. So to your point about the trees and landscaping, though, there are points within the plan to prioritize when the time comes native planting. So that is prioritized in the outdoor programming section. So that came out in the community meetings as a priority. And then there was an analysis done about the trees on site, identifying the trees that will need to remain protected, some evaluation on ones that were considered invasive that could be removed. So there was some analysis done on the landscaping, but in the future, we would work with a landscape architect to help do like the full build out. In the future architectural stages, we'd work with the community to determine the design. I believe in 2019, it was selected, I think like a mid-century modern feel. We didn't want to just move forward with that this time since so much time had passed. So we might use that as a jumping off point moving forward and ask the community to either reaffirm that or we'd go in a different direction. But we just didn't have the time this time. So when we move forward, we would make sure to bring that back to the community so they'd get to have a say in it.
Thank you. So follow up on that. The polling showed that people really wanted to see basic upgrades to existing buildings and also preserving open space and trees was important to the community. So of the outdoor space in phase one, I think it's about 390,000 square feet. How much of that is actually green space that is ecologically usable, or, lawns area, or not that I'm suggesting that, just in general, versus hardscape and circulation and other types of concrete or asphalt spaces?
In which phase again?
Let's do phase one.
Okay. I believe, and I will double check this for you, but I believe the outdoor space of 390,000 is green space. I can confirm that because I believe what they prepared for us, this graphic I have, was like usable green space and didn't include parking lot hard space. So,
but it includes trails and plazas and other types of...
Yes, but not the parking lot. So I could go back and double check that figure for you.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to know how much of that is like permeable space, essentially, that allows water to infiltrate. I have a question about the park development fees. One of the funding, there was some mention of park development impact fees or some development fee that will go towards Cubberley. I don't know if that's a comment or a question, actually, but I'm interested in exploring now or later, what is the implication for other parks and other projects in our park system?
As far as if Cubberley took some of those fees, how would it impact negatively maybe other parks?
Essentially, I think, that we'll be discussing some of that later, and we'll see there'll probably be some trade-offs between open space and building sizes and things like that. But if there is a reliance on impact fees to pay for some of the development on Cubberley, does that compete with other park needs that we have, and what type of park needs it might compete with?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. I think right now we are analyzing, I know our city attorney and some of our city staff are working on that question right now, so I think that's a great question. I know some of it is geographically based, and so some of the development that's happening there on that San Antonio corridor will impact it, so I can say that sometimes what Cubberley might pull won't necessarily hurt another park because it wouldn't be eligible, because sometimes it is within a certain radius of where the impact fee hits. For other parks, they might not have those limitations, so it's something that we would assess citywide based on need. So I think we're still a little bit in the infancy of that analysis, so it's something that we'll continue to work on, and then by the next time we probably come back, have a more detailed answer for you.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep some other questions to the discussion.
Okay. Vice Chair, you have a clarifying question to ask, or general?
Yeah, it's sort of related to the open space question. I actually really impressed your concept to become evolving since thanks so much for the great work. Is it third time I think we're looking into you representing, and the concept evolved really complex, and also connectivity you mentioned has come through a great theme, and I love the amphitheater too, and also you added a swimming pool there. So I'm wondering the open space in terms of performing arts, the capacity, and I presume you take into consideration of all the open space in terms tennis player people, swim people, and amphitheater. I'm particularly more interested in coming from a drama background. And do you have the concept of how many people might be attending and the capacity in there? We have an amphitheater in Stanford University, the Forest one, and also one in Mountain View, and it might add great value, especially with the California weather. Just come from London, which is 30 degrees during in March. People even looking forward to their amphitheater, which will start in June. And I'm just wondering the capacity for that. And second question is you mentioned the funding a few times, and last few presentation have a different phase of funding. I'm curious to know where the funding gaps and what, as commission as a whole can help you to in the next presentation to look into that. That's just two questions from me. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you for your questions and your comment, and I'm going to repeat this back, and if I'm missing something, please let me know. So the first question was in regards to the outdoor amphitheater and essentially kind of what the size was in totality.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if I've got that right, we actually had this question at our previous joint PTC ARB meeting, and I think if we did some quick mapping, it almost is about 1.5, if not 2 acres, is the green space around the I building. While it curves, all of that wouldn't completely be used because of the angles, but it is quite a significant amount of space. And so the community expressed in all of the meetings, and then of course coming to the commissions, people wanted tons of green outdoor space. And so we prioritized that in the way that we placed the buildings, designed the buildings, went up stories so that people could use the outdoor green space. And so especially with the amphitheater, we had an initial design with it going down into a bowl, and then we actually changed that because we wanted that space when it wasn't being used as an amphitheater to be something that people could use for anything else, because a bowl can kind of be limited on the use. So when it wasn't being used for a concert, it could be used as a picnic or people just throwing a Frisbee around. And so then it becomes really much more multi-purpose and multifunctional. So it is quite a large green space there where we would kind of stage the concerts.
Yeah, just wondering whether it's, 10,000 people, 5,000 people. So I think that the concept you just provided is excellent. It's similar to the Frost Theater in Stanford. Half is long and a half is actually closer stage, is more concrete. You can put VIP tables, etc. Yeah, that's a great concept. And the second is, I think we saw some funding figures last couple of presentations, just wondering what are the gaps are and where are we right now this year, and when would be when it's in completion, if you have a timeline, and then whether funding will fulfill your needs. And it is a really comprehensive project, and I'm really impressed how it's coming along through the last 3-4 presentations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the question. So right now, we expect phase 1 to come in between $300 and $400 million. Why it's kind of a variance and a shift is because we have a couple private-public partnerships within there that might be doing some of their own scope development and fundraising. We also are wanting to refine the renovation numbers that fall within that. So we're going to kind of, city manager likes to say, sharpen our pencils and work on getting that number more concrete. And so staff is working on that right now. That number also includes the $65 million for the land acquisition. So we're refining that at the moment, but that's the range for the phase 1, which we think is hopefully realistic for us, is what we're setting our sights on right now. And so as that gets refined in more detail, we'll bring that back. So the latter part is how can you help? So if you have opportunities or hear of ideas or grants or anything like that, please send it our way. And then as we move towards, November and voting, just anything that folks can do to help spread the word, we'll be probably, asking for that as well. So for now, we just appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving us.
Thank you. Yeah, excellent work. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you. I just have one clarifying question. So can staff confirm that the adoption of the conceptual master plan does not commit the city to a full build out, but rather establishes just a framework that will be implemented in phases as funding becomes available?
Correct, yeah. Adopting the conceptual master plan does not commit the city in any way to fully fund the build out.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move to public comments. Do you have it in person or online?
Yes, we have in person. Just a moment, please.
Thank you.
All right, Mark G., you may speak.
Hi, thank you to the Commission for all your great work in support of making Palo Alto a great place to live. Councilmember Lifcut-Haynes, appreciate the work that you do as well. Really want to acknowledge the hard work by the city staff for pulling this together and moving this along. As you've heard a couple of times tonight, there's hope for private-public partnership. So I'm a representative of the board of the Friends of the Recreation and Wellness Center, and I'm here to confirm that the 501c3 that we represent is very excited about the opportunity to raise funds that will support the city's development of the Coverly Master Plan, because we're excited, and we also recognize the need of the community to have such opportunities of services, and we really think it'll actually expand the youth opportunities, the aging opportunities, the creative opportunities that'll really improve South Palo Alto particularly, but across the entire city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Penny E., you may speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to staff and all the members of the Parks and Recreation Commission for your work on this project. I am Penny Elson, excuse me, a neighbor of Coverly and a former representative on 2 Coverly community advisory groups. According to the polls, Coverly funding is uncertain. Citizens seem not to understand why redevelopment and some expansion of Coverly is important. This is a communications problem. I've been talking with my neighbors. The average Palo Alto citizen has no idea of the scale of housing growth that is coming, somewhere between 21 to 25% increase in citywide housing units, which will result in similar population growth. This may be one reason, excuse me, this may be one reason poll respondents don't support expansion or even in some cases renovation of Coverly. Modest expansion and renovation of Coverly in the near term will be essential to manage increased demand for community services. So existing community facilities, including those in North Palo Alto, do not become overwhelmed by new demand. Let's do better educating voters why the whole city needs this project. That said, there are a couple of changes to the master plan that need consideration before its approval. I want to point out 2 things. The first one is I was glad to see this evening that it looks, I saw more clearly marked on the north entrance that abuts Charleston Shopping Center and goes to Nelson Drive. I saw more clearly marked what I think is a bicycle pedestrian route that will be safe and secure. And I'd like to hear staff confirm that that is so this evening. And secondly, the staff report shows the tennis courts over the parking garage and mentions the possibility of lighting them. And you should know that previously a decision was made not to light the at-grade existing courts because of light and noise intrusion of after dark play. There are bedroom windows and living room windows that abut those courts, and tennis is very loud. I don't live in those homes, but I know the people who do, and this is something that would be a real problem for them. Many of these families some of them are elderly, but many of them have young children who go to bed early. And because you're raising those courts, that would cause light and noise to carry more easily. So I'm puzzled why we might contemplate lighting them now when it was rejected when they were at grade. That's all. Thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you.
John P., you may speak. If you are speaking, we cannot hear you. Chair, it looks like the speaker is unable to.
Okay, thank you. And thank members of the public who shared their comments this evening, both in person and in support and with their concerns. Your input is an important part of our deliberation. I now invite comments from the commission, starting with those, I'll start with Commissioner Aquarad on the right. If you can, try and keep your remarks about 5 minutes so we can give everyone a chance to speak. If more time is needed, we can revisit each commissioner after you've had a chance to speak. Commissioner Aquarad.
Great, thank you, Chair. I don't know if it's possible to put a 5 on the countdown clock, but might help. So lovely to see things moving forward so much. My first question was, is the public survey number 4, is that the last planned one?
Correct.
Okay, and how much modification are we still open to given the output?
How much time is left?
No, sorry. How much modification to the master plan are we planning to?
Oh, I'm sorry. So this is what we've presented you this evening is kind of the final draft. It is a concept plan, so we can make changes. When we presented to PTC ARB last week, they both unanimously approved the plan with considerations for City Council. So they had some things that they, approved it, but we'd like City Council to consider X, Y, and Z. So you guys also can do that too. So all that being said, we can make changes. The one thing I would know is a great deal of community feedback has gone into this. So it's not a black and white answer. And if we make significant changes, it could alter the CEQA analysis that we've done. So there also is this kind of margin of error that could trigger us having to redo the CEQA analysis if we make substantial changes. I know that's a fuzzy answer because there isn't like this exact trigger, but those are some things we'd consider on the amount of changes we would do.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. And sorry if this jumps around a little bit, but I saw there's plans for some playgrounds and kids activities, which is lovely. I just wanted to make sure, is that being synchronized with what's at Magical Bridge, which is like a 7-minute walk away?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually chatted with Magical Bridge about this. So I think they're excited to maybe help give some ideas about what else could go into this. So there's an outdoor programming section within the master plan that lists a variety of ideas that came from the community during the meetings, which include, I think there's a lot of excitement around natural play areas, outdoor classrooms. And so while the specific, playground equipment hasn't been picked out, there's a lot of excitement about adding play structures and things like that. So yes, that's the idea, to add those around the campus.
It's great to hear that you're trying to do something complementary so you can get a better variety for those folks. On the phasing, just wanted to ask a little bit. So you're trying to do some of the phases and use the facilities during that time. And is the construction noise not going to interfere with the activities that are going on?
Well, that's a great question. So if you ever work through construction, it certainly will be an impact, as most construction is. So there's definitely mitigation techniques that we can do. We will certainly try to place programs and services and continue them the best we can. If it is determined that some things just can't continue or are too close to the construction due to the noise or the safety, I mean, of course, that's something we'll have to consider. As much as possible, we want to keep things going and place them into the other spaces that will be available on campus. So as we mentioned during the presentation, some square footage will become available. Another option is we can bring in temporary portables and put them in parking lots like we have now. There's a temporary fire station over there. So there's other options we could pursue. But yeah, definitely noise, there's dust, in the air, things like that. But we do these sorts of things all the time. I have experts that can help us with the planning. So we do our very best.
Excellent. Thank you. And given time, maybe I'll just ask one more for right now. But I know there's a lot of phases that we're trying to do after fundraising. But given the public feedback that some minimal improvements are the things that they find most relevant, is there pre-phase one plans that are going to happen before the fundraising efforts really kick in?
That is a great question. We have kind of just the ongoing general maintenance that's happening right now just to keep us kind of up and running. At this moment, I think we're waiting to see kind of what develops with our polling and what will happen with our next steps through kind of our ballot strategy. And I think in the next couple months, it might determine our next steps and then what we may do depending on the funding we have available. Right now, I think we're able to keep things kind of up and running. If something was determined to be in utter disrepair that we would have to close it and, cancel a program, then maybe we have some funding that we could put towards a building that would have to be shuttered. Luckily, we're not in that place at the moment. As far as like having to do I think what you mean is more substantial, like seismic upgrades or like new roofing. Right now, I know they are doing, like roofing is a great example. When we had those heavy rains, they're doing some temporary stop gaps until we could do something more. So yeah, nothing planned as of now. I think we'll see in the next couple of months as we move towards the ballot measure. This is our course at the moment, and we continue to just adjust.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Vice Chair Wei.
Yeah, I was actually was looking to, we had a slides looking to different phase with date before, I think. And it's similar, actually clarified question earlier was asked by Commissioner Exroyd. What exactly is the timeline we have right now, given the budget constraint versus the different phase you just showed us? What is exactly timeline for these different phases?
Yeah, so our timeline right now, our immediate next steps are, well, I guess I can answer that in a couple different ways. Do you want me to explain like leading up to the ballot, or say if a ballot is approved and then like construction?
Yeah, it's more like presumably the ballot is approved this November, and what would we see happening in 2027, 2028? What's the anticipation completion date?
Perfect. Okay, so these are rough estimates. So when we did some mapping out for Ms. Paras, actually, so when we do some debt financing and construction timeline, so if all went through with the sale and we acquire the property in 2027, when we did some expected timelines for how long we expected to do permitting, hire contractors, we sort of thought shovels in the ground no sooner than 2030, and then phase one buildings would take approximately around 2 years at the fastest. So again, that would all need to be really refined. Again, working with the Friends of the Recreation Center, that scope and timeline could be independent. It could happen sooner and independently as well. Now with the new relationship with Theater Works, that also could happen independently and on a separate timeline depending on the scope of their project. So a lot of factors go into that, but that was kind of our timeline pending the acquisition of the land from the school district.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. A very, very good program that you all have worked very hard on. I was concerned as this process got started that the public did not, in my opinion, come out like I thought it would. And you had 407 people in the first poll and then 416 in the second poll. It would be, and I don't want anybody to look it up, but I would guess there was a number of the first poll that did the second poll, that those weren't all new people. And the question I had, it seemed like with a town of 65,000 that we're dealing with 400 people. I was at the city council when there was going to be some program and very few people showed up. My worry is, as this goes toward the ballot, let me think how to say it, how we fire up the citizens, because I'm mumbling around here. I guess the question I would like to ask is the 407 and the 416 normal, do our consultants say, for a town of 65,000?
Yeah. One thing I want to clarify is the poll, they specifically get invited to participate. So it isn't like an open call. So I think the way you're phrasing it is maybe we invited everyone from the town come and participate and only 400 came. So for the poll, we specifically do outreach to registered voters. And so only a certain amount of people, that 400, get to participate. So it's a predetermined statistically significant number that gets contacted. So that 400 is precise, not a reflection of interest, I guess. So it's not a bad thing. That is the number that they were shooting for. But to the second part of your question, I think that's still a good question to ask as we move forward. How do we get the community excited? So we're always thinking about that as well. But I did want to clarify that part. It wasn't a lack of interest, but that is a particular number, and only people get invited by being called or emailed by the company.
Thank you, thank you. Well, wonderful project, and I'm 84, and I hope I live long enough to see this. So, because we've worked on it for 30 years or whatever, and so really a good presentation, and thank you very much.
Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Thank you. I have a few more questions also, so we may, I may ask for a second round. So looking at the poll, which is supposed to be representative, it's a reputable polling group. Preserving trees and outdoor spaces got the highest score, actually together with upgrading outdated and deteriorating electric wiring and plumbing. So I guess when I look at projects in general, and I do that a lot, I'm looking to see the landscape first. I want to see how the project fits into the landscaping plan, that the buildings are not going to restrict the kind of large canopy trees that we're going to be planting, that the first step is looking at the land. And then I know it's flat and mostly built, but looking at this as a paintbrush on the canvas and not, oh, we need all these needs, we're going to put them first, and then, we'll see how to deal with the landscaping later. We'll hire a landscape designer at some point. And similarly with the architecture, usually you see the rendering. What is the project going to look like? What are the buildings going to look like? And for voters, I'm pretty sure that the building that looks more like, some of the old Palo Alto design or a glass building may have a very different emotional response of whether they will vote for it or not. And if they have large trees in the picture or just some kind of, renderings of a tree, it makes a big difference. And I think this is partially why we don't see a lot of excitement, because people asked for this, they're asking for what the city, I think it was Council Member Litkov-Hames actually that said we need something beloved. You can't live in abstract. It's really hard if you don't know what it's going to look like. Am I going to feel at home here? Is it connected to the environment? So to me, that's a big problem. I don't expect you to fix it now, but I think this is part of the hesitation. We don't know what it's going to look like. How do we know if it's going to be something we like or not? And that is something that's difficult for me. And I think we've discussed this in the several meetings that I attended, the public meetings. This is something I brought up in each one. But it seems like there was not enough time to address what to me was the most important thing. Right? And I'm not necessarily representing everybody in Palo Alto, but to me that was what it's going to look like, how it's going to feel. Is it going to have shade? Is it going to have glare? What is it going to look like at night? Was more important than a lot of the other aspects. Not that they're not important. All of this is important, but that's, we'll do it later. And that, to me, is a problem. I would also like to say something about the CEQA document. And it's kind of related, and mitigate a negative declaration is used when you do know that all the impacts are going to be less than a significant level with mitigation. If you think that there could be potential impacts that are not mitigable, you have to do an EIR. You use the words here that this plan is adjustable. It's going to evolve. It's adaptable. It's not stable. CEQA requires a stable project description. You need to know what you're going to do. If you don't know, you have to do an EIR. That's how CEQA works. If you don't know all the impacts, and we're talking about something that we don't know when it's going to be complete. We know kind of the scope of the buildings and the pathways, and I have a comment on that too, but I don't know if I'll have time in this round. But we don't know what the impacts are going to be 20 years from now. And some of it may be 20 years from now, and maybe I won't be here either, but still, I think it's important when you do CEQA to actually be able to analyze, because it's very difficult to go back and add. The city can also say, we're going to change something, we're going to do additional review. I know that's possible, but it's very hard for the community to cause that to happen, to advocate for it. So, it's not, I won't insist on changing CEQA clearly and comment on it, but I think it's something to consider. And I think that Penny Ellison's comment on the lighting is also related to CEQA. When you put lighting on top of buildings and they're for sports, there could be a significant impact, and I don't know that that was fully analyzed. And when they said, there won't be any lighting impacts, I'm not sure that's true. And I think the neighbors might be bothered, and like Penny Ellison said, that light might intrude into the neighboring homes over there. And the other thing that could be a problem for them is the road that goes between the Piazza Shopping Center on the north. There's a road that ends up in a circle, which is like a drop-off zone and stuff like that, but there's people living right there. There's homes right there. And you have an entrance into the garage and the drop-off zone and emergency services. I'm not sure how much imposition all these different activities will have on these neighbors they just have the fence. And I don't know if the road is safe for bicycles. Right now it's used by pedestrians and bicycles all the time. But if you start making this the way in and out of parking, I don't know how that changes. I guess I'll stop for a minute for now and we'll see.
I'll let you, if you have any, you want to respond to any of
Yeah,
this?
I just wanted to clarify that we are not lighting the tennis courts, and we specifically wrote that in the plan, that they are not lit. They will continue to be as they are now, and if we do light them, obviously we'd go through the proper process with stakeholder input if we decide to, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Wei. I'm done, I'm sorry. Commissioner? No comment? Okay. Okay, I'll go back, if there's any other commissioners that have any additional, Commissioner Kleinhaus, did you want to finish up, or you have any? Okay, good, okay. So, yeah. So can you help us understand what the minimum viable phase one might look like if funding comes in below assumptions?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So can you help us understand what a minimum viable phase one might look like if funding comes in below current assumptions?
Yeah, great
So I know we
question.
you have the partnership with the
Sure.
Friends of.
Yeah, so essentially, what I guess could be great about the plan is it can be done in, I guess we call sub-phases of even phase one. So different components of it could be done as, we kind of describe as funding becomes available, as opportunity becomes available, as we work with our partners. So I think we are able to be pretty nimble and strategic. And so while we'd like to complete all of phase one as a whole, the opportunity might not present itself all at once. So if we couldn't, we would continue to chip away and piece it together as we could. So we will kind of see what our resources are. And that, as we said, can determine the pace and the scope as the funding opportunities come in, whether it be through those different mechanisms. So we consider it kind of a funding package. And as we have those options available, then we can develop the different schematics.
Do you think that with the partnerships with the Theater Works and also with the Friends of the Palo Alto Wellness Center, which is in, I believe the Theater Works is also in the first phase, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so if both of those, let's say, they were able to go out and collect the funding that they need to actually get started, it's a possibility that they could actually, because this becomes sort of a bond issue in the November 26th election, right? So you'll know, so it depends on, let's say we've got 6 months or so, and if funding becomes available to those two projects like the Theater Works and the Friends of the Palo Alto Wellness Center to actually start work and actually start on the Wellness Center, which is part of phase one, that could be, I guess, a kickstart to move forward with some of the other phases a lot faster, I suppose.
Yeah, so our first goal is the land acquisition. So that's our priority, and the ballot is one of our funding mechanisms to get there. And so, it kind of is this puzzle piece of, funding and then the land acquisition.
Right, because phase one, the Recreational Wellness Center is actually
on our property.
Is already on the property.
Correct.
So it's not contingent, it's not dependent on the actual
correct.
bond. And the Theater Works, you're talking about actually renovation of the existing
Coverly Theater, yep.
Okay.
And we wouldn't be able to do construction on the PAUSD land until we could purchase it.
Okay, got it, go ahead. So how's the team thinking about aligning future ballot language with strong voter preference for basic repairs versus safety improvements?
I believe that's influenced essentially the way we've drafted and are testing our ballot language, which is reflected in the poll 4 results. So I think that will help us gauge the respondents, and some of the results we're eager to get back. As Councilmember Lithcott-Hames said, essentially at this point, we've dropped the parcel tax as the option. And so we're retesting ballot language around the sales tax with the elements that you just said, as far as what's resonated with the voters about upgrading facilities and the components that have resonated with them and feel very important. So I don't know if Ms. Pross, you want to add anything? Okay.
Okay. And my last question, that we were talking about the polling results, and I assume you make adjustments as if this would be the fourth poll coming out, right? So what adjustments, if any, is staff considering to align the future funding measure with voter priorities? Or, I mean, have there been so you've made some adjustments, I guess, to poll number 4 based on the input that you've received from the other 3. How much is that going to?
Yeah, I can start, and then I don't know if you want to chime in too. I'll do my best. So yes, basically every poll we've put out has really influenced our direction. It's been really helpful for us to kind of gauge what, it is a sample, but we take the respondents and the results very seriously, as that is meant to be a representation of our population. That's why people do the polling. That then kind of is reflected in the next poll, helps us develop the questions that we then ask, or the way that we'll tweak the ballot language that we're considering, and then what we put back out in the next poll. So I guess that's my first stab at it.
No, that's pretty much nailed it. Amanda did. Christine Perras, Assistant Director of Administrative Services, and that's precisely what this generally strategy is around polling and asking the ballot question of the voters to just determine how much support there is and whether or not we can modify, tweak language based on what areas of importance resound better with voters. So it's a constant kind of build upon additional new information throughout the process.
Okay. So my last kind of tagging onto that. So it kind of goes back to what Commissioner Smith was saying about the enthusiasm, I guess, is what because you talk to people about what's happening. I know we've done some events at Cubberley in the last year or so to try and get more and more people sort of there, so they know kind of what it looks like now, and then try and think ahead what the plans are for the future. And I don't remember if we had sort of the conceptual designs there so that people could see sort of what we're planning to do, because I know us being on the Parks and Rec have always, when we're talking to people, we're trying to make them aware of some of the things that are exciting, that are coming, like the Cubberley project. And there are people who like asking, when, what, and how. So I guess the word is how are we going to really get that marketing and advertising out there so that people know this is something that's really going to be beneficial to the city, and get more people to be excited about it. And I think having those programs at Cubberley in the past, hopefully those folks have gone back to people and got them excited about what's happening with that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And what Chair Freeman is referencing to is we created a document called the Cubberley Activation Plan that had a wide variety of events and marketing and ways to draw people to the Cubberley campus that maybe normally didn't attend. It is quite busy, 7 days a week, all hours, but if you're not already going, then sometimes you don't have a reason to. So we've created new events like family movie night, and we're asking staff to try to plan or bring any events that are existing over there so we can draw new people to campus. One of the things that is taking shape right now that I'm actually really excited to share is one of the activations we had planned are the public art lift grants. And so a few of those that have been awarded will take place at Cubberley. And so those were just awarded. And so 5 of the activations will actually take place on the Cubberley campus. So there'll be opportunities for the community to come and participate in some of the art workshops, and then a few of them will actually be displayed on site. So just other unique ways to get the community involved and folks over there to the campus. We also have the open studios coming up for the cast artists. So yeah, so different events and movie nights and things like that. So we also welcome any ideas that you guys might have that could bring people over to campus, but we're always considering different ways that we can, like you said, build the excitement. We did have an idea if we got to the point where we had architects architectural designs of like blowing them up and hanging them on campus. Since we didn't get there with this plan, we might not do that. One of the Art Lift grants is a community mural, which people love murals. So that will be something that'll be taking place that I think people will be really excited about.
Yeah, thank you. We'll move on to Commissioner.
Yeah, I just came up with 2 questions. Well, first of all, thank you, Amanda, and your colleagues for a great presentation. Very exciting. I understand that we worked with Concord in the past, and are they still doing this conceptual master plan? To what extent we will work with them?
Yes, they did help us develop this plan. We still are on contract with them at this point. We're doing the presentations. We may work with them to do some tweaking on the plans, but at this point, we're, like we said, kind of at the end stages. So their contract work will be coming to an end here soon, but we still are technically working with them, but kind of the heavy lifting is done. At this point, they really helped us kind of co-host the community meetings and a lot of the development. We kind of had to stop moving things around when we started the CEQA analysis back in November. And so their work kind of, slowed down a little bit at that point because we had to stop moving all the buildings around so the analysis could begin. But yes, they still are on contract with us at this time.
Thank you for that update. My second question is, so first of all, thank you for sharing the activation activities. Also, when I heard that you shared the polling was targeting the registered voters, so I just came up with this idea because we are interacting with the residents for sure, but did we do anything with the registered voters? Because they're the ones that will, that we want to target them to vote in November.
As far as outreach for like inviting them to participate in events?
Like let them know the ballot is coming up?
I am not sure we have access to that as staff. That's a good question. Looks like maybe Ms. Pross has an answer.
I don't know if that's typically something we do in tandem with polling, but we try to keep our marketing and outreach events kind of open to everybody and with a focus on residents, but we'll definitely think about that for future polling.
Yeah, maybe FM3 can help with that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so what I've heard is reflects a recognition of the both the opportunity and the complexity of the project. Then from a commission perspective, our role is not to resolve all of those decisions tonight, but rather to evaluate whether this conceptual master plan provides a sound, flexible, and community-informed framework for the city to move forward. So with that in mind, I'm comfortable that the plan before us meets the threshold of being thoughtful, community-driven, and adaptable, and provides the city council with a strong foundation for their consideration. So unless there's any final thoughts, I would entertain a motion to recommend that the city council adopt the company conceptual
Chair
master
Freeman,
plan.
may
Sure.
I make one last request? I would love to invite Councilmember Lithcott Hames to speak, as she is the chair of our ad hoc committee. And so if she has any thoughts or comments that she would like to make, I would love to offer her the floor as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, for the opportunity for a great conversation. Commissioner Smith, I want to say I share your concern about 400 people, 400 people, but that's the way polling works. They take a representative sample of likely voters with the aim that it be statistically significant. And I'm not in polling for a living. I have to trust that they know what they're doing. And yet it does feel very limited, that we might make a significant decision involving great expense based on what 400 people happen to think on a particular week, which is why we do 4 polls. And I do believe they try to ensure that a person isn't polled twice. We've raised that concern. We've raised that point with them. So I expect that has been followed. I want to let you know why the sales tax was is the vehicle we are continuing to test for the ballot measure as opposed to parcel tax. Obviously, they are different mechanisms for acquiring funds from individuals. A parcel tax requires you to own a parcel of land in this city, and if you do, then you'll be levied on a value of that somehow based on square footage, or they can measure it in other ways. Sales tax is, you buy something and then you're hit with a sales tax. So here's the big difference from our perspective. The city is required to reach a threshold of 66 2/3% of the electorate to pass a parcel tax, and only 50 plus 1% to pass a general sales tax. So as the polling numbers started to get clarified, I think we were at 48% on both the parcel tax and the sales tax in poll 3. Well, 48% is real close to 50 for sales tax, but a ways from 66 2/3 on the parcel tax. So that is why we decided the parcel tax was just going to be a tremendously heavy lift, and we didn't think it made sense to carry that forward. In terms of the campaign to support the ballot measure, we don't have a ballot measure yet. Council will be determining whether to go forward with that, I believe, at a meeting in June. And so assuming that happens, and let's assume that for the sake of argument, then we can begin in earnest getting folks excited about, the campaign, about the opportunity to support this measure. We have heard from members of the community in recent months. People would come to public comment and say, we're with you, we're interested, we're going to support it. We have a sense that there's a set of people out there. As happens with ballot measures, members of the community come forward to help. And, we have every hope that whatever the city, assuming the city decides to put it on the ballot, that there will be community support for that. But it is a very fast pace. And summer will be here before we know it, and then it'll be the fall and the election. So it's quite a nail biter. I will add that we've mentioned 2 partners in the staff report, the Friends of the Recreational Wellness Center, which you're all intimately familiar with and have done a lot of work around, and TheaterWorks. But there are 3 other organizations that we're aware of that are, whose boards have approved entering into a letter of intent with the city to move forward as partners in Cubberley. We're not able to mention them by name yet because we're not at that stage, but you could envision a suite of public-private partnerships, each of which brings some amount of money to the table that ends up filling up, one of the baskets we need in order to pay for this thing. So this is all coming together all at once. And it is the opposite of a long drawn-out process. It is a everything in parallel process, which is why the questions around why don't we have architectural drawings for the CEQA analysis, well, we're just not at that place yet. I would say first and foremost, our priority is to acquire this land so that we can do what it is the community wants us to do. Nothing happens if we don't acquire the land, except for the gym and wellness and rec center, because that is planned for the city land already. So that is, I think, all that I wanted to share. I was making some notes. Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify and share. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, and thank you, Amanda, for reminding me to include her. Like I said, any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to recommend that the City Council adopt the Cubberley Conceptual Master Plan.
I would make that motion.
Okay, I get a second?
I can second that.
Okay. Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any final discussion before we call for vote? Commissioner Kleinhaus.
I appreciate all the work that has been invested. I think it's tremendous amount of work, and I've been to so many forums, like all the ones at Cubberley itself, and for a while I was on that ad hoc as well. But As I said before, I cannot comfortably recommend that council adopts the plan without knowing what it's going to look like. To me, that's a really important part of what are people asked to do? And we don't know what it's going to look like, not with the buildings, not the landscaping, not the trees, not the things that to some people matter a lot. They're not in there. And so that makes it very difficult for me. The other thing that makes it difficult for me is that in the meetings and in the polls, people generally signaled that they're not looking for a very ambitious plan. They wanted modest functional improvements, preservation of trees and open space. They did not like, they actually said, we don't want them more. Now, I understand that this is to an extent because they don't perceive all the new housing that is coming to San Antonio, and they don't know what the full picture is. But it's still the sentiment that we hear from the public. They're not asking for such a big plan. And so for me, this makes it very difficult. I'm not going to oppose it, but I'm also not able to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's go ahead and, Clerk, please tally the vote, or
Commissioner, I'm so sorry, how do you say your last name?
Axelrod.
Oh, I did get it right. Okay, Axelrod.
Yes.
Vice Chair Wee.
Yes.
Chair Freeman.
yes.
Commissioner Smith. Yes. Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Abstain.
Commissioner Deng.
Yes.
So the vote does pass.
Thank you. And thanks, everyone. Thank you again, staff, for the presentation. Take a 10-minute break before we move to the next agenda item. which is the outdoor space. San Antonio.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Robert Kane. I'm a Principal Planner with the Department of Planning and Development Services for the City of Palo Alto. And I'm here to talk to you tonight about the San Antonio Road Area Plan. Apt tonight, as you just talked about Cubberley, this is right next door to the Cubberley project. We have a lot of slides, but I'm going to go through a lot of them quickly. They were provided for you in your packet. A lot of them are for background and context, but we're going to focus tonight on the issues around parkland and outdoor space in the planned area. So I'll give a brief project update and overview, and then we'll dig into how we came up with our design strategy for the plan, and then talk about some of the specific alternatives that we're currently discussing. We're currently seeking feedback from the Parks and Recreation Commission, as well as other advisory boards and commissions, in order to then bring this information to the City Council. We will do a study session with them in April, and then we're hoping to get direction from them in June about what shape they would like to see big picture this plan take. We would plan on coming back to the Parks and Recreation Commission later this year when we have some policies around parks and outdoor spaces that we will want to discuss with you at that point. Next slide, please. So the goal of the San Antonio Road Area Plan is to create a more livable community, improve mobility and safety through the corridor and across the corridor, and support the city's sustainability goals and enhance economic vitality. The plan is going to look at feasible designs. We're going to create zoning and other development standards for the plan area. And we're also going to have some implementation tools and strategies, including funding ideas as well. Next slide, please. So if you're not familiar with the plan yet, it covers a roughly 275-acre portion of Palo Alto along the border with Mountain View. It is part of the Bayshore Alma San Antonio Priority Development Area. It includes a nearly 2-mile length of San Antonio Road, from Alma to the Baylands, including major intersections at US 101, East Charleston, and Middlefield. The southern part of the plain area is in close proximity to the San Antonio Caltrain station. And currently, the plain area has a mix of industrial, office, service, commercial, and residential uses. There are also many adjacent neighborhoods to the plan area in both Palo Alto and Mountain View that are single-family residential neighborhoods. And Cubberley is also one of the neighbors to the plan area, as is the Baylands Preserve. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our timeline. We are expecting a 3-year project. We kicked off roughly this time last year. We are currently in the phase where we are exploring different alternatives to try to narrow down an overall plan framework. As I mentioned, we'll come back later this year, hopefully, with our analysis and policy recommendations. Next year will primarily be about finalizing that draft and doing the environmental review, and we hope to have council adoption in early 2028. Next slide, please. In order to analyze this big 275-acre area, the approach that we've taken is to break it down into smaller sub-areas that will include some new neighborhoods. We want to focus on open space and amenities within those neighborhoods. We're trying to create smaller walkable blocks where we can, and infill a lot of either vacant or underused parcels with residential development. In order to support all of this, we also are looking at transportation mobility, and we want to improve the ped bike safety in the area and also make it someplace that is comfortable to walk and bike. We're trying to improve streetscape character, including adding tree canopy to the area and through landscaping. We want to improve the ped bike experience at the intersections particularly, and improve connections to schools shopping, and other needed areas for the new residents. Next slide, please. So we've identified 4 roughly areas that are very likely to see significant change. Those are along San Antonio, primarily between Middlefield and 101, as well as along Fabian Way, and this triangle that is bounded by East Charleston, 101, and San Antonio Road, that we call the CTI area because it contains Commercial Street, Transport Street, and Industrial Avenue, and it's easier just to take the first letter of each of those streets and call it CTI than say all 3 streets every time. As part of this, we're looking to add new park spaces or other outdoor spaces in that CTI area, as well as along Fabian Way. And as I mentioned, we're also looking at improving the experience for people who walk and bike through the area. Next slide, please. So our strategy for outdoor space was first to analyze what is currently existing. There's some great assets. There's Mitchell Park, which is not too far away. There's the Bayland Preserves, which are not that far away. There's the fields at Cubberley. There's Ramos Park. However, there is an area that is this sort of shaded pinkish area near 101 that is more than a 10-minute walk to any public park or park-like area. This includes within Mountain View. They've recently did a study and identified that this portion of Mountain View is also a bit park deficient, and they're looking to develop a new park master plan for the city. So this is the area that we're mostly focused on adding new park space and open space. And we're thinking about the location and size, a number of spaces we could create, and how we can actually make that happen. Next slide, please. So one of the challenges that we have in this area is that other than the right-of-way, there is no publicly owned land within the plan area. It is all privately owned parcels. So we need to look to see how we can work with developers to either get them to create spaces themselves or to acquire land from them or to separately acquire land for the city in order to add these parks. We're really hopeful in these 2 areas for a few reasons. One is the area along Fabian Way includes one large parcel. It's about 25 acres. It's currently home to Maxar. And should that site ever redevelop, all indications that we've seen is that it's likely to be a residential development that would go in. And a residential development of that size would be a good candidate for the city to work out an agreement or a requirement for parkland dedication or some other method of providing open space. And then within the CTI area, even though it is made up of very small parcels, some of them are being consolidated by a single owner who also has the area just next door in Mountain View. They currently have a proposal, an application in with the city of Mountain View to develop a lot of office, residential, and retail in the area, and including publicly accessible, privately owned space in that. It's where Best Buy used to be, PetSmart currently is on Charleston Road, and that is adjacent to our plan area. So we're hoping to, as they consolidate land and look to do a large development in Palo Alto, possibly in the future, that we can include parks as part of that and potentially connections into the Mountain View project as well. Next slide, please. So during our outreach through our community workshops and through our online survey, we found that people responded strongly to having small neighborhood parks, roughly an acre, as well as mini parks in the plan area, as well as creating paseos or muse pedestrian pathways that connect through blocks that are not for cars, but they're for people and cyclists and would have trees and perhaps other amenities like benches. So those are the 2 of the things that we're focused most strongly on in our development, but we're happy to hear feedback on what types of outdoor spaces the commission would like to see in this area as we get to the discussion phase. Next slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about some of those choices. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we have 4 primary areas that are in the bright colors where we think the most amount of new development will occur. And then we have some other areas where we think a little bit of development will occur along Alma and East and West Bayshore. And then we have a few other areas that are pretty built out and unlikely to change based on the current ownership of those areas, like the greenhouse condominiums, Green Meadow, and some of the other smaller condominium developments along San Antonio Road. Next slide, please. In total, we are going to be asking the council to provide feedback on building heights and densities that they would like to see in this area. But the ranges that we're looking at would be anywhere between roughly 4,000 to 7,000 new residential units. There's currently 800 existing units within this plan area, so that's a lot of new residences in the area. For some additional context, as part of our housing element, we've identified sites with a capacity of about 1,500 units in this area and already rezoned to allow that capacity to happen. So we're talking doubling or even quadrupling that number of units above what is currently allowed through the housing element. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the Maxar site is a potential site to redevelop, and it is something that we feel could provide, in addition to housing, perhaps a mid-block connection through the property and perhaps a reasonably sized neighborhood park, perhaps in the 2 to 3 acre range, or alternatively, it could provide multiple parks that are smaller. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, it's roughly 25 acres, and we are proposing, right now we've seen developer interest in creating a mix of residential densities, both townhouses and apartment buildings within it. So we're going to be asking council to provide feedback on sort of where we want to set the development standard, bookends for that sort of development. But in a development that size, there's plenty of opportunity to talk about adding, as I mentioned, a pedestrian, bike, a mid-block crossing, and parks in the space. Next slide, please. Here's some potential site configurations. These are only for discussion purposes. In the end, the developer and property owner will submit to the city what they would like to see. But here's some examples of how either one large park at the bottom, as seen in Concept D, could work, or having a sort of 1 to 2 acre park, and then a smaller, pocket parks might work for the plan. We're also interested in your feedback on co-locating parks with other types of activation like cafes, restaurants, and other kind of retail as well. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, the CTI sub-area is a lot of small parcels. There's a mix of uses. There's a lot of light industrial, research and development, but there's also community services and a religious institution within this area. Next slide, please. As we develop, we do believe that if there is one large development from a consolidation of these units, that will provide an opportunity to create a new park or plaza or outdoor space. Next slide, please. And there are some challenges within the area, but it is an area that the council has already designated for housing, for some amount of housing, and we're just going to sort of ask them to give us some more specifics about how much housing, how much office, and some of the benefits of adding office is that often allows the developers to pay for parks and other amenities. The downside of adding more office is we already have a lot of office. We already have a lot of jobs compared to the amount of housing that we have. So we're going to try to be mindful to make sure that whatever we do, we're moving the needle towards equalizing out our jobs housing balance. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we're talking about is doing connections between the Mountain View project and Palo Alto. This could, and other mid-block crossings that shorten these blocks and allow people who are walking or biking to get where they're going without having to go a long circuitous route. We're also looking into connecting into the 101 interchange plan. Right now, VTA is leading a program that they've been designated by Caltrans to improve the San Antonio 101 interchange. And part of that includes upgrading bike and pedestrian facilities to get people across 101. And that will provide an opportunity to do a grade separated connection from the CTI area over to West Bay Shore so that people can get either to other portions of it or into that Maxar site. Next slide, please. So we have a few different alternatives we'll be talking to council about. The first two are residential only. Next slide. And then the other two are a mix of office and residential. As I mentioned before, the main benefit to allowing office, and the more office we allow, the more opportunities for the city to get benefits such as parks or affordable housing or other concessions that the city deems are important. But then we also have to be mindful of not adding too much housing or too much office that isn't offset by housing to maintain or improve our jobs housing balance. Next slide, please. So the question we have for you all is how should we be thinking about outdoor space here? What are the size and amount of outdoor spaces, the types of spaces, locations, and character? Next slide, please. There's some challenges that, given that the parcels are small, doing one large park here might not be as feasible as over at the Maxar site. But we do think that there's an opportunity to perhaps do something dispersed or have one consolidated smaller area. Also a possibility of creating mini parks that are not actual parks, but create an inviting landscape area and adding additional tree canopy to the area as well. Next slide, please. So we've been toying with sort of 4 different ideas. The first would be a large park or plaza that is right off of East Charleston. It's very visible to the public. It's very clear that this is a public space for people, but it has the drawbacks of being on a busy road with the noise and air pollution that traffic brings to it as well. The next option would be a more interior small park, but with some other dispersed parks further away, focusing really on the retail connection around it and as well as the connection into Mountain View. The third option would be to remove the smaller pocket parks and just concentrate everything into one larger park in the interior. And the fourth option is more about paseos and walkways and expanded sidewalks instead of having a more concentrated park or plaza for people to gather. Next slide, please. And then I'll just briefly talk about the mobility alternatives. So we're looking for pedestrian first design and low stress biking routes, connecting first and last miles for people going home or to work. We're also talking about parking and demand management and how to work that, and adding smart corridor technology. Next slide, please. So we've broken, in addition to breaking down the plan area to neighborhoods, we've also broken down the streets and intersections to more manageable pieces. I can tell you something that we think is a good piece of news is that we have no intention of changing the median on San Antonio Road. It was not that long ago redone. It has a lot of trees that were planted. We looked into whether or not there would be any advantage to shifting the median or removing the median. And in our opinion, there is not any advantage. And so we think the best thing to do would be to leave the median as is. Most of the plan options do not impact trees or minimally impact trees. We do have one option where we might move the curbs in, and that would require, in order to put in bike facilities and sidewalks, that would require replanting the street trees that are along the curb. And so we would have to talk about what does that replacement look like if that is the option that council chooses to move forward with. But we are aware that this portion of Palo Alto does not have the same percentage of canopy cover as the city average. So we are looking for ways to improve that, not diminish that through the plan. Next slide, please. And so we're also looking at intersections, how to put in, how to make them safer, but also put in green stormwater infrastructure to the road as well. Next slide, please. And just as the last thing, we're looking for ways to connect people to Caltrain. We think that that is in line with the city's sustainability goals. If we can make it easier for people to take mass transit. We're also talking to VTA about adding, about how we can add additional transit in the planned area as well beyond just the Caltrain station. And next slide, please. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions you have. Our consultant is also on the line if there are technical questions that I need to defer to her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Corinne, for the presentation and the project team for a very thorough and thoughtful report. I also want to acknowledge from my role on the community advisory group, the level of detail and outreach that's gone into shaping these alternatives. Also very much appreciated. I've also enjoyed, the walkarounds, which I think is very, it's something to be able to see sort of what you can, what you're looking at with your eyes and try and think about what the future might bring. So I kind of have sort of a head start, I guess, on most here and that haven't been involved in the process. So for my fellow commissioners, the PRC had been specifically asked to provide feedback on the type, size, and location of outdoor community spaces. Just want to make sure we understand that, and that you would like to see included in the area plans, correct? So for us today, we should stay focused on open space strategy, community serving outdoor uses, connectivity and access to open spaces, and not on design, architecture, or land use intensity, which will be addressed by other bodies. So, and the presentation itself is basically just gathering only and does not require a vote from the commission. So it's just informational, and you'll be, as you said, coming back to us sometime in April, I believe, sometime later in the year, right? Before we move to public comments, I'd like to first ask if the commissioners have any clarifying questions for let's start with Commissioner Kleinhaus.
I have a question about the heights. You have different potential, but I was wondering if you were looking at transfer development rights as one of the tools to allow some, not to by right give certain areas this or that, but by using transfer development rights.
Yeah, the city currently has a very limited transfer development right policy. It applies to downtown, primarily to historic buildings that cannot, are limited in what they can do to redevelop because of their historic status, and can transfer those rights to a very specific group of potential receiver sites. It is not something that we are currently exploring for the San Antonio Road area.
Just a follow-up. Mountain View used it very well in North Bayshore. Not everywhere, but in North Bayshore, they have zones that you'd have to transfer to other zones, and they designated which ones. And I think it could be an interesting tool to consider here. Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners for clarifying questions? Commissioner Alkaright?
Thank you. So terrific presentation. Thank you. I wasn't quite clear. You're saying you're looking for mostly vacant lots to turn into residential, but then there was also talk about potentially rezoning, like how much emphasis on each of those?
So, I mean, vacant lot, I might have misspoke a little bit, but unused, currently empty lots, not like completely open lots, right? Or underutilized lots. So right now, we've already adopted some measures within the city. We've adopted rezonings related to the housing element, which applies to 53 of the parcels within the plan area. We've also made it easier to develop housing on research, office, and light industrial parcels, which also includes many of these parcels. So we already have a good deal of capacity, and we already have several pipeline projects that have come in on San Antonio Road and Fabian Way, where people are seeking to develop housing on those properties. So what we'll be doing through the plan is trying to decide what is the appropriate limits that should be placed on that type of development. It'll still be up to individual private developers to determine whether or not they wish to submit an application and whether or not that works for them and they can make a product that they're happy with and is profitable for them. And then also what other requirements we have on those developments. If they develop, are we going to require retail? What level of affordability inclusionary is going to be required? And then things like parkland fees or dedication. And so that's what we're looking into. But we're looking to make the entire plan area open to residential development, potentially some of it mixed use with office commercial, and all of it also like mixed use potentially with retail and community serving uses. I hope that answered your question. I'm not sure if it did.
I got the gist. Thank you.
So I have one. So I think it was mentioned in one of the slides, or maybe it's that I read, but maybe not during the presentation. Can you expand on how incentives such as allowing high-value users like offices translate into guaranteed high-quality open space outcomes? I think you mentioned that. How can that, maybe you can expand on that one.
Sure. So there's a number of different potential tools. Currently, the city requires developers of projects of a certain size to either dedicate land for parks or to pay a park fee based on the usage. So, and that is based on the square footage, I believe, square footage for office, and I believe I'm not sure if it's unit or square footage for residential, but there's a calculation that goes into it and a fee that's paid, and then that fee can be used to acquire land or to maintain existing parks. So there's that. There are other incentives that can be built in to the plan potentially that say, this is the baseline of what is allowed in this area. However, if you wish to do more than that, these are the requirements that you have to meet. And one of those requirements could be land dedication or creating a publicly owned but privately owned but publicly accessible space that is maintained by the developer and open to the neighborhood. So we're exploring what those different things are. We have a memo that we hope to be publishing soon for our city council meeting that'll sort of list some of the options available in that way. But we haven't decided on what type of tools we'll use yet. That'll be when we come back to you later this year.
And one last question. You mentioned, you showed us a couple of designs of different parks. So this is where I mentioned it here. The smaller parks, I mean, how do we know that, the very small ones, how do we keep those from just turning into like just a symbolic space instead of like being used as a park? I mean, I think we've seen examples somewhere in the city where these little small parcel parks are put into a place, but they don't necessarily get used because they're not functional enough, I guess. They are okay for one person. I don't know if you can kind of expand on that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm not an expert on that, but I think for me, it comes down to how it's programmed. And I don't know if you have more thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it also will come through a community feedback. So this is just the area plan, but when we do park development, that's when additional community engagement with the community that's surrounded will take part. So this is just one step in a very long process that hopefully the community gets what they would like and use.
Yeah, but I think you're also asking us as a commission to provide you some feedback on sizes of recommendations for the large parks versus little small pocket parks. And so just kind of throwing that out as to whether or not that's, if you have any feedback on the different sizes and how they're being used. So, but we can talk about that a little bit later. Okay. I have someone who's raising their hand with that. Vice Chair.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. Yeah. So I have similar question actually. Were you having? I probably both. Great presentation, by the way. It's a lot more thorough from last time we saw you, and also have a bit more visionary for the whole scope. So I was looking at page 10. I happen to live next to Johnson's Park. I use Johnson's Park as a 2-acre park. It's small, but it's really enjoyable park. So you have the small park versus mini park, and it's strongly supported by a community. I wonder in the process of that, did you actually do a survey with the community living in their area, and what's the process to get our community support? And I'm personally more for small park to mini park, but that's a separate conversation we can discuss later. I just wanted the clarity. What's the process for community survey to for the potential outdoor space types?
Sure. So we had a community meeting, community workshop, and an online survey last October where we asked these questions and we showed photo examples and we asked people to rank support for different ideas. I will grant that we had, it wasn't the full 65,000 population of Palo Alto. So it was not like a poll where we were looking for a statistically significant number of people. It was just available online for people to respond. But that's the feedback that we got through that process.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
And I just want to clarify, just to help, you mentioned Johnson. Johnson is 2.5 acres, Vice Chair.
Yeah, it's much bigger. So I was just trying to see how we
For scale.
1 acre. Yeah, it's like half or more than half the size.
Okay, so let's just know the clarifying questions. Let's go to public comments.
If you are online and would like to speak, please raise your hand. We do have one. Just a moment, please.
Thank you.
All right, we will begin with Penny E.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. I'm Penny Elson, a member of the SARAP CAG, that's the Citizen Advisories Group. I'm speaking as an individual tonight. Tonight's report contains a lot of material that is new to me that was not presented to SARAP CAG. The SARAP area will carry a lot of new housing. However, a 24% increase to existing citywide dwelling units, the upper range of development potential SARAP envisions, to this one area of town will be a significant change that requires massive investment in infrastructure and community facilities to support it. I see no budget money earmarked for such investment. Little county, state, or federal money available for it, and city budget cuts are coming. How will this be funded? The report lays out, sorry, I lost my place, excuse me. The report lays out how some development impacts might be mitigated. The SARAP concept includes 2 very small parks, together totaling only 1.75 acres. Please note the calculation for park size was based on the low end of housing development projections, though new housing projects seem to be rapidly moving into the pipeline. Are we talking about 2 large parks or 1 large park instead of 2 small parks? If 1 park, where would that be placed? I would oppose a park that directly abuts a big street like Charleston Road that is surrounded by buildings which would act like an echo chamber for big street traffic noise. This would be neither comfortable nor peaceful for people and nature. Coverly will be an essential community hub for SARAP. We need a fully functional, expanded Coverly Community Center that is well connected. The SARAP process should more fully incorporate Coverly in its vision as an essential community hub with better bike and pedestrian network connections on quiet neighborhood streets. Staff is very focused on the specific planning area and big streets, understandably. We need deeper thought given to larger community context, especially as it connects the SARAP area to community services and quieter neighborhood routes. And also to public and private community facilities like TKCJL, Coverly, Mitchell Park Superblock, and Library. This is very important for present and future Coverly and Mitchell Park Superblock users. And finally, this growth, we haven't received a timeline within which we'll receive a traffic study. And I realize that, land uses have to be decided first before that can be done. But I would like to know tonight when we're going to see a traffic study, because I think that's going to have implications for a lot of the land use matters, including park placement and things like that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John P.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. So I was looking, I paid a little bit more attention to the mobility targets, and nowhere in the targets, most of which I would agree with, but there is no target addressing the current level of auto traffic, and in adding all these additional housing units, unless there's a really good plan, which is hard to imagine, I don't see how we're going to reduce the traffic. I thought in the 4 proposals that are identified in the plans for different combinations of traffic lanes and bicycle lanes and sidewalks. Mainly, we're either compromising the traffic flow because we're getting rid of the parking lanes, which are also sort of the pickup lanes, and if we would have buses, the bus stop lanes, and where police will pull over people. Those would disappear. So so upon further thought, I don't think any of those proposed plans for the section between Mountain View, between Middlefield Road and Charleston Road, I don't think any of those are really viable. I think what needs to be considered is moving the traffic in the 600 and 700 blocks of San Antonio Road. I think maybe the best choice is to move the bicycle traffic to Montrose, connect Montrose. Montrose is already connected to Charleston, and it's connected to Middlefield right across the street from Cumberly, and there's a stop sign there already. So I think that's that would, moving the bicycle traffic to Montrose for that section offers makes your traffic flow plans a lot more viable. And I'm grateful to hear that canopy coverage and the street trees have moved up to priority items now. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm also grateful for all the hard work and patience of the staff. Thank you.
Chair, we have no more speakers.
Okay, thank you, and thank you to the public for your comments. We'll now return to the commissioners for discussion. I'll start with Vice Chair Wei.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just take on the earlier public comments about the traffic study. I do feel that might be importance to that. In the sort of if I still stay in the park and rec lane, I feel the traffic study matters, but primarily to support safe and convenient access to the open space we're looking into, even if just 1 acre. It's not just about moving cars, it's also about people safe crossing to reach the open space, to have a safe living, and also pedestrian bike access. So in addition to vehicle flow and the impact of curb management on park access as well. So that's my thoughts on that. The other is you're looking for park strategy, and for 1 acre park, if that's the only you can allocate, it's sort of urban park, how we make the design to be, 1 acre park. Do we have a play space in it as well? And so that the space not feel fragmented, so the program is not limited. So community use will be actually important for that. So it's combined green space, play area, and seating. So that's, again, it's architecture design, and you need to bring the people element in that. That's the 2 comments. But I think it's moving along from last presentation. I'm actually really impressed the work the staff are doing on that. And also I do agree with the public comment that the green space become a priority as well. I'm really thankful for that. And the canopy issue was discussed last time too. Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunn. Commissioner Kleinhaus.
Okay. I have a question for staff. What is in our parks master plan? What is the target for how much acreage per 1,000 people?
I need to look that up.
Okay, I think it's 3 acres per 1,000 people. So if we're going to bring a lot of new people to live here and potentially to work there, 2 acres in one little park or many little parks, it's still little parks, and it's probably not enough. So that's one comment that I would have. I think we need more parkland because we're going to accommodate a lot of people. So that's one thing. And maybe it was over-optimistic at the time that we developed that plan, but that's still our plan. And so I think that's important to consider. Regarding, I was happy to hear that you said that the trees in the medians of San Antonio are not going to be removed. That's a nice corridor there, and they are beautiful. I want to go back to some of the slides, 21 maybe. There's questions of allow residential up to what height, and whether or not to include in 21 and 22, and how much, and whether or not to include office. Since we're asked for our opinion, I would not include office. I think having some stores, coffee shops at the ground floor is fine, but I think we have enough office in Palo Alto, and I wouldn't like to see a lot more, especially not if it pushes the heights to great heights of, what was the option here? One of them said 135 feet. That's towers, and I think that's gonna really, like, the traffic, I live nearby. I have to go through that area almost, I don't know, I don't drive every day, but let's say twice a week. It's already difficult to get in and out of this, of the neighborhoods of Palo Alto in that vicinity. And you add another 4,000 to, what was the number, 7,000 people. I think we need to go more towards the 4,000 rather than 7,000, because it's already very difficult. And I don't expect the traffic study to show something else. I do support having bike lanes and alternative ways for people to get through, but I don't think it will solve the need for people, at least not in any foreseeable future, the fact that people still drive there. Removing parking on San Antonio can help create a little more space. There's some areas that still allow parking, and maybe that's a way to create a little more space for open space, trees, and people mobility. About the sizes of parks, whether it's little parks or big parks, I've been really struggling with that one, because when we have large parks, they tend to get cut into what people want to do. We're going to have a dog park here, and we're going to cut a little piece for pickleball there, and another one for something else. And so it becomes more segmented than smaller parks. On the other hand, smaller parks, you can't do very much other than sit there and chat with your neighbors. So I don't know how to do both, but I think we need a big park and some little ones. And I think that also it's really important how they're designed, and trees are absolutely essential. People will sit under the trees to talk, to meet their neighbors, to, I don't know, get their dogs some exercise. So how they're designed is going to be very interesting, but linear parks are extremely limited in how they can be used. And so even though people tend to like linear parks, I'm not sure that's a good solution here. People need a sidewalk. You need to have a shaded sidewalk. You need to get somewhere, but I wouldn't call a sidewalk a park. And I think that's something that we need to kind of consider. It's like, what is a park? If it's just a long stretch with a paved area for people to ride their bicycles, it's cool, but it's a mobility corridor. It's not a park. And I think that's important distinction. I know, I'll let other people, because I have some more comments, but I have to look at my notes.
Yeah, I just have, one question I have, kind of going back to what I was talking about before, the concept of distributing mini parks across parcels is interesting, but how do we ensure that these spaces, it goes back, how do we ensure that they're usable and not just residual or leftover spaces? And I think it has to do with, it's kind of what Commissioner Kleinhaus was saying. You can have these little small spaces, but you can, if there's only 2 or 3 people that can use it for reading a book or something, it's, how useful is that? And I think a lot of it probably, I think we have to look at what the population density is going to be for a particular area, sort of whether or not it's a full park versus a small park. I mean, we haven't really decided, we haven't talked about the sizes, the size of the different units, whether it's going to be 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, studio, and that type of thing. I know it's outside of the scope of what we're talking about, but the size determines the number of people that will live in that residence. And if we're talking about, 2 or 3 bedroom, then there's probably children involved, and parks should probably have, a play area and so forth. So, I'm not too wedded about the mini parks as I am about having a larger park space, but making sure it's close proximity to sort of where the major population is within that particular area.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
I think 1 acre is really the threshold.
Sorry, let him finish.
right.
Or, sorry.
Chair, if you like, our consultant could talk a little bit more about the small park issue. She's online.
Yes, I am. And thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Robert. I just had a small clarification. There was a very valid point made that when it comes to the actual design of the open space, community input would be very critical, and that'll happen further down the line when there is an actual project in mind. But even at the level of the area plan, like right now, we're at the concept stage, we're discussing alternatives, but ultimately the area plan will provide guidance in the form of zoning, in the form of minimum standards. So there are tools that we can use to ensure that even a small park is usable. In the sense, you can define a minimum size that, or a minimum proportion, or minimum locational requirements to make sure that the park doesn't become residual space or just some leftover space. And a developer basically gives over parkland as as a dedicated piece of land, which doesn't suit any other functional purpose. So there are certain rules that we can describe to make sure that, first of all, even smaller parks are more usable and that they can actually accommodate a variety of programming, as has been discussed right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll move on to Commissioner Axelrod.
Excellent, thank you. First, a clarification, you're talking about 4,000 to 7,000 new units, right? Okay, so.
That's correct.
Thank you. So doing the math, that's likely over 10,000 new residents, and kind of to go with what Commissioner Kleinhaus said, if we have our standard of 3 acres per 1,000, that is a very different picture of how much green space we would need to support that kind of new population, right? So if that kind of acreage is something doable, then I would think that every big neighborhood has an anchor park that would be large, and you would still need some space for some smaller neighborhood ones. And to piggyback on what one of the callers was saying, I would also urge you to look at parks that are not directly abutting large streets, especially if you think about the playground component, and having little kids run by San Antonio would be catastrophic potentially. And maybe going a little bit outside of our lane, but I would think that with this number of new folks, the San Antonio train station might need a little bit of help, and hopefully we're going to be working with Caltrain on those kinds of issues. But to do that, we need both parking, access, and bikeways, and I would strongly encourage you to look at the bikeways that are not going on San Antonio itself. I know that was part of the route, but it's just not a very nice street to ride on to get to Caltrain, and there are back routes through the old Mayfield complex, and there's little bridges. So I think something could potentially be done, but I would love to see that as part of the grand plan. As if we have 12,000 new folks here, and some small percentage of them are going to go to Caltrain, how do they ride over there easily? So, okay, I think I'll pause it there. Hopefully it makes sense.
Vice Chair Wei, I think you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm just echoing what you were just saying, Chair, actually. And I do agree to both Commissioner Kleinhaus and the Brock said, look into our policy of 3 acre standard for the parkland, even if, how much parkland we need citywide, and look into that 10,000 people population we're bringing into this area. 1 acre of parkland is almost like the threshold you can have for this amount of people, with distributed space instead of a substitute of clear standards for those spaces. I just echoing all the chair and both commissioners' comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Ding?
Yeah, I just want to add on that I appreciate the intent that we want to distribute outdoor spaces across the parcels. And I think as a whole commission, we just want to better understand how we ensure those spaces are not just visually appealing, but truly usable, equitable, and publicly accessible in a meaningful way.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Kleinhaus, you good?
Thank you. That's very interesting. Don't know what's going to happen there, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, thank you again for the presentation and the work that's been done on this. It's an important opportunity for us to help shape the open space and being part of the community advisory group. I think bring forth comments from my peers here to make sure that we're at least thinking about the open space and where the parks are located. As Commissioner Axelrod said, there's a lot of people who are going to be involved in that area, so it's important to make sure that we're providing open space and it's not looking, I guess, crowded where people can't appreciate the environment. So we appreciate the work that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you and for your comments.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is to go over any special comments. Let me get my notes here together. Any announcements and future meetings? I'll just make one announcement, and that is that the work plan will be going to the city council on April. I'll be presenting the work plan along with Sarah and team on April 6th. And that'll be the number of commissions that I think we're not the only one on that night, right?
Correct. I believe there's a total of 4.
Okay, there's already some commissions that have already gone before the city council.
Correct.
Right, so this will be the actual approval of our work plan by the city council, and whether or not there's any additional items that will be added, we'll let you know at the next meeting. Okay, any other announcements from any other commissioners? Okay, Sarah, we'll move on to the agenda for next 2 months.
So let's see, April 28th is your next meeting. We have the continuation of the tennis pickleball discussion. We also have an informational update on the Foothills Improvement Plan, as well as middle school athletics. For May, we have the second deck study, as well as a park improvement ordinance for the Foothills Improvement Plan, as well as another park improvement ordinance for the Arastera Creek pipeline. So we'll see if everything stays, but that's what we have currently. And we'll also have an update on the sluice gate, but that will likely be within the departmental report.
Okay. Okay, and before we adjourn, just want to make sure.
Hold on 1 second.
No, Commissioner Klein, go ahead.
Can you share with us the CEQA document for the creek improvement project when it comes out?
For the pipeline?
Arastradero, yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Please share it. I don't want to miss it. So if you can share the CEQA document as soon as you have it, that would be really appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And just as a reminder, just to make sure that you have your side meetings for your ad hoc committees, so at the next meeting, we can give us pretty much an update on what's happening on the ad hoc side, on the committee side, and also on the liaisons, because the clock is ticking on our work plan. So the fact that we'll be having the work plan approved by the city council next month, want to be able to come back to them a little bit after that, and kind of give them an update on where we are. But it also is a good way of keeping the rest of the commission up to speed on what's happening, not only with the ad hoc committees, but also what's happening with the liaisons as well. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.